Almost there. I think it glitched a little bit. All right. Welcome in, guys, to episode 2 of the Beards of Lag podcast. We have a really fun-packed episode for you. Once again, my name is Kula, and I am joined along Gibbles today. We also have special guest Wraithofthnine. We're gonna get into Wraithofthnine here before we let him in here. We're gonna kind of embarrass him with a few clips from his stream, some of his better moments, so to speak, and really try to have a good conversation tonight. Tonight's topics are some fun ones. I think it was a good one to bring Wraith on for. Topics for today we're going to be talking about is the new player experience. So from what a lot of us used to go through for ARR, that super long extra 60 quest line, and then the new streamlined quest line. It still feels like a drag, but it's nice and streamlined. We're gonna be doing a being a Final Fantasy streamer. Gibbles and I both stream, but we're both considered end game content streamers, so we stream a lot of end game content. It's not as vampire-y, Final Fantasy appealing as the new player experience, right? Everybody wants to catch in on the Sprouts going through all the trauma that they had to go through in their time. And then just some stuff like features that we'd like to see in the game. It's our last and final topic for the game. I know I've got a few. I know Bard's been thinking of a few. Kind of get Wraith's mentality on that as well, just to kind of see if from stuff he's played in the past, stuff that he'd like to see in the game. But before we get into that, let's check out some of Wraith's work. and then we'll get him in here so we could talk about the news. Let me change my tab here so I'm on a good tab. And we will change to video. I'm not sure why that changed like that, but whatever.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man.
All
now
the
we're
beards,
all over
yes.
the place. Whoa, what is going on?
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh, we're like zoomed in.
We are super zoomed in. I think we're on the wrong screen.
Well, thank you for showing up, Kaznik.
All right, there we go. So, here's a clip entitled "I Get to Ride Him." So let me flip this and let me mute the music.
Aren't stream clips great?
Stream clips are great.
Never leave anything down.
We go to cast out the darkness.
I get to ride him? Don't take that out of context. Don't take that out of context. But I get to ride mid?
Yeah, you do. You definitely do. And then after the Waking Sands incident,
To be fair, I think everyone is excited they got to ride him.
Wait,
they were.
wait. Is everyone fucking dead? Bro, what? Is my cat girl okay?
Oh yeah, okay. So everybody's dead, but is the cat girl okay? And then for those of you who are from Wraith's stream, thank you guys for coming in tonight. Let's just dive into previous thoughts about Alfie.
Oh my god, I hate Alfie. Like, I want to slap this kid so fucking much, dude. You have no idea how much I actually want to slap this child. If it weren't illegal, I'd beat his ass.
To be fair, I think everyone felt that way.
He went through a good glow up.
Well, the FF14 up here.
He went through a good glow up. All right, well, we've done enough talking about Wraith. Let's bring him in here. Let me make sure that I'm on the right screen here when I bring him in. He's being a good sport, letting us talk about him behind his back, but welcome in, Wraith. Thank you so much for coming today.
Hey, Mom. Hey, what's up? What's up, guys? Yes. Oh my god.
All right. So just a couple pieces of news for this week. We talked a little bit about last week's data center test. Really exciting stuff. The big thing that came from that is they did a massive login campaign test. So they wanted everybody to create a character and then attempt to log in all at the same time. This is supposed to show kind of the expansibility of cloud gaming or of data centers. And their
It says
ability to
guest
be able to-
name, Kula.
Oh,
Sorry.
does it?
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. We'll change it.
Oh, yes.
Twitch.tv
yes.
/guest name.
Guest name, and we're still
What's up,
showing
guys?
all of my social medias. I forgot to give that. We'll do that. We'll shout out the social medias. Let me change the name real quick though.
Find him at Twitch at guest name.
Yeah,
Yep.
Twitch at guestname.com.
Twitter at guest name, yeah.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
He's a little big, but he's fine. We'll
You just
shrink
do
him in.
raid.
All
That's fine. Yeah.
That's fine. We're good. All right. So the biggest consensus is I know I was watching a little bit of Rin stream some of his cloud gaming stuff. He was able to almost triple cast within GCDs. He thought that was that's a big deal for some classes, being able to pop in 3 skills between your GCDs. On the fly production, that's right. If we're nothing but on the fly, then it's great. So he was happy about the triple GCD windows that he was able to kind of span through on, like, I think he was getting like 29 ping. The biggest thing that came from it was like the ping. Everybody who normally plays on VPNs was able to come off their VPNs and play with almost no ping. It was pretty fantastic. I think this is a big benefit to the community if we can get these up and running correctly. It takes the guesswork out of hardware. Wraith, I know your background's a little bit in IT, so like you can understand this a little bit. But like with things like AWS and Azure being in the backbone of what you do, it makes it a lot easier to be able to do to focus on your development and less on dealing with your hardware or needing to worry about whether your servers are up and running. Yeah, it is hardly noticeable. Correct. The other big thing, I know for those of you watching Wraith's stream, he did a big dive into this. But we did have the contest winners for the hairstyles. I won't dive into all of these. We'll give some memorable quotes on a few of them. They all look really good. I think they all have a fit in this game for sure, if they can.
Great,
I know
yeah.
Wraith's was this one. This one was Wraith's big favorite.
But are there better
fucks.
beards?
It does fuck.
True.
It's pretty good.
True.
I know. Final Fantasy win. Square. When are we getting
Are there
beards?
better beards?
We need beards. We need better beards. This one was a little questionable. Like what's going on? What's going on here?
Yeah. Who
Like the
puts
hair,
hair on rings? Yeah. It's
Are they
not
just gonna like
growing.
waste money on extensions to attach it to rings? Like, come on now.
It's a very TikTok hairstyle.
It is a very TikTok hair. It's like a very
Yeah.
like. But I
New
like
age
that they
stuff,
were
yeah.
including kind of the highlighting. So like this is a bob that we are familiar with, right? But they're doing the underside as the highlight as opposed to the top part, which was the previous build, which I think is nice. I think it's a good add. And then some of these other ones which have like this top part gets highlighted and then the back gets not.
2 color
showing
armor
it,
zones, 3 color hair zones.
That's right. That's right. Let's just expand everything. Everything goes out to another color zone. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, so these were the winners. They did say that some of the ones that the developers really liked would end up in the game. You know, we might see a few of these. They did also say, there was a disclaimer at the bottom that did say that those who didn't win, if the developers like them, could also be entered into development into the game. So it was, if an entry was is to be implemented, they may make adjustments, but they also said entries that did not win may also be selected to be implemented in the future. So really cool stuff. They get a cool little cat earring as the prize victors. So congratulations to anybody and everybody who did those. That's all super cool. They had so many entries they had to increase the winning numbers, so they went from 30 to 40.
Well, I think it's just so cool that like they do that to begin with, you know.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they reward the really faithful, loyal fan base by like even if something as simple as like, hey, do some free art for us, get it in the game.
Right.
Well, yeah,
go ahead.
like the tome weapons right now, the current one of the highest in weapons is it was contest winners too.
Right. Anyways, all right. So we got our news out of the way. Some cool stuff. We'll see if they've got some more stuff next year or next week to bring in. But let's kind of talk about what we're here to talk about. So, Wraith, why don't you discuss your new player experience? We'll save the stream stuff for the stream topic. But like, I know you said that. I know you've been saying that ARR is probably your least favorite because it was kind of dragging a bit.
Yeah, definitely. I would say like especially with ARR, I think being the like new player welcome wagon, it's definitely like almost like a culture shock to an extent, to like going from more traditional MMOs into something like FF14, which is so narrative heavy and so like story driven, compared to something like WoW, which is not very story driven and also
what? I don't know what you're talking. They did
even
fine.
Even like the modern ones like New World or ESO and stuff, like these new ones that have come around in like the last like 5-10 years or whatever. It's like it is definitely leans itself more into your like traditional Final Fantasy sort of thing, at least from like my perspective. You know, I'm definitely limited in my knowledge to like how things are going to turn out, especially in like what happens when you get done with the expansion, like the final expansion. So that's like in the current rotation and everything. So
and we should
it's definitely
we should just preface with chat that we are at the Ilmeg dungeon of Shadowbringers, and we are not going to move past that. So anybody who's in chat, please make sure we're cutting back our comments to that particular set of information, just so we're not going to be spoiling anybody's experience. We want everybody to have a great experience. So
no spoilers.
No spoilies. But yeah, I think that's the one thing that is a lot different from other MMOs that people have played, right? There's a lot of ability to skip in like WoW and stuff like that, where you can just jump past a good chunk of the content. I mean, the biggest joke I think from WoW is like the world was so bad they had to destroy it in order to make it better, right? Like when you get to Cataclysm and they just completely uprooted the entire world. But like, and then it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, what happens now that you had all that development time in those previous expansions, but now you're just blowing it away? With Final Fantasy, you're forced into the story, right? And I think Gibbles and I have had this kind of discussion before of like, at what point do you get where you need to make a new game because it's too much, right? Because that's the biggest sell to friends is like, you got to play through 5 expansions unless you want to pay $50 to skip.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like you play these other games, like you play ESO, you play WoW, you play. I mean, I saw you talking about Destiny on your stream, so I was going to bring up Destiny, right? If you if you nuke the story or create a story that can be played in any order, if someone wants to play a good story, it fractures it and it makes it like impossible to deal with.
Oh, getting an immersive experience in a game like ESO is just like, or Destiny is not existent whatsoever. Like you can't have that. And I think that's an interesting thing to say about like, at what point do you just make a new game? And that's something that like I've thought about, where it's like, imagine if they had another crack at it without all of the behind the scenes drama that they had to go through with 1.0 and like getting ARR out the gate to begin with and everything, spaghetti code, yada yada yada.
Right.
You know, I mean, we've seen like I won't say too much about it because, you know, I don't want to spoil 16, but we've seen Creative Business Unit 3 kind of flex their game making muscles a little bit with 16. And if they had like the resources and time to make something like completely fresh,
and that's kind of the big thing too. Like I know Koji Fox was worried about getting back to Final Fantasy 14 when he was brought over to the 16 team. Like that was a real worry that he wasn't going to come back. He did end up coming back. Just, you know, everybody can chill out. We can get our memes. Don't worry. And they're all great. All the memes are great. I do just want to touch really quick on Alex's comment, which is the first 2 expansions after ARR are free now, which is a huge benefit, and that does like kind of lead to a better conversation, right? From like trying to get people into the game, you can be like, hey, you don't have to pay for the game to play it through level 70, right? And then you can pay for it and get through the last 2 expansions, which, you know, there are limitations, right? I mean, it does limit you from being able to trade items or anything like that. And I think with the new Stormblood stuff, you can't do ultimates. That's the other big lockout, is you can't do ultimates. So, but I mean, you're still getting a good experience. And yeah, ultimate set.
Yeah, no stats for a free trial.
I don't need free tier being able to do like crazy. You do get Eureka. I mean, that's a sore subject. I was gonna say, that's a sore subject for Gibbles. You should check out his YouTube video on exploration areas.
Were you not a fan?
Pretty
when Eureka first came out, like I was just like, yeah, this is really fun. And then the second area of it came out, and I was just like, yeah, no, done, no.
Fair enough, yeah. I won't talk too much about like Alex, but Alex, you know, the Alex Raid series, but
why
like
not,
I think
why not talk about Alex?
Gordian.
It has problems. We'll just say it has problems, but I think like for new players, like I think when it comes to not just Final Fantasy, but like any game, like getting into any game, there's always going to be that hurdle of like, you know, you always hear like, oh, keep playing and it gets good after X amount of time, X amount of progression. Once you get to this activity, then it gets good. Where it's like, you can't really have somebody skip through ARR because of how important some of those like foundational building blocks are from the narrative perspective, which I think Final Fantasy XIV's greatest strength and greatest weakness is like the fact that it is so narratively driven. It's like, it's got this fantastic story. It's pretty slow and not what MMO players tend to like look for, but it's really good. So it's like, like who are you gonna catch? And it's almost like a mismarketing thing. Like we joke in my chat at least, like it's an RPG first, MMO second. And
absolutely,
that's a good description.
It's kind of hard to pitch that to new players almost, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
what do you mean by that?
if you're an MMO player, you like the grind, right? Just grind the story. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Just grind it, bro. It's like, well, can I skip through all the dialogue? Absolutely not. You cannot skip through all the
dialogue. Alex asked, do we think that the experience is better or worse or neutral as being part of the streaming community? From the streamer's perspective, I think having a strong story that a player can stream through, we've seen this kind of play out, right? Hexady and Moxie and Free, and I mean even Wraith has benefited from being able to play through the story as a Sprout, walking their way through. There is this mentality amongst the Final Fantasy community to vampire the emotions of the streamer because, you know, Final Fantasy is a very, you know, emotional game in more ways than one can count. And I do hope that you did buy your stock in tissues, Wraith, as you walk through Shadowbringers and Endwalker. As I do warn all streamers that haven't gone through Shadowbringers and Endwalker yet. But yeah, I think that there is, and I think we'll talk about it in our next section of like new streamers going through the story now. But I think like Free did it where he played through the story, right? He just blasted right through it because at the time he didn't really care. Got to the end game content where all of his friends were to be able to do that content, and then went back and did it as New Game Plus. So he was able to go back, walk through the story as it was, and then be able to play through the story kind of like a new Sprout streamer, but being in end game content in his offline time.
That's an interesting way of doing it. I haven't really like seen too much of like Free's MSQ journey, but I do wonder how that would like affect some of the like big shocking reveals and stuff if you are aware of some of that in-game stuff. Like anyone who's seen it, like my like the Stormblood raid series, I don't know if saying it's a spoiler or not for anyone who might not have seen it, but the O raid is some of my favorite content in the game. It's so good. I loved it. And like I feel like that would have been kind of a pretty heavy spoiler, you know, like to go back to the MSQ and doing that. Whereas like for someone who's, you know, picking it up and being a smaller streamer, like going through MSQ with a group of people, kind of like emotional vampiring along the way, it's definitely, it definitely, I think is good for the experience of both being a streamer and like digesting the story, because you have kind of like a steady pace and it flows very well, you know. It keeps you kind of on track and keeps you from skipping and blasting through stuff, and kind of reminds you to not make some of the easy mistakes it is to make for like, you know, whenever you take on such a hefty game, you know, you don't burn yourself out as easily. Yeah.
I'm cracking up because I'm reading chat, and when you said the O raid, all I thought of was Office Space when he makes like her O face joke, and then the freaking chat's like, "Oh, the O sus." Oh my god,
the good old O raid.
Yes, that is true. I'd like to see. Alex said this. The Stormblood 8-man raids were an homage to the fans from earlier Pixel games, from the older Final Fantasy games. I think the biggest thing that I've seen, and I don't necessarily think, I mean, if this is your bread and butter and how you want to do the game, that's fine. But like, I've seen a lot of streamers by their communities get told that they have to play like what is it, Final Fantasy 4 before they get into Shadowbringers or get into Endwalker, so they can get like the background and stuff. And I, you know, like that stuff is fine. Like I can see where like players want to do that, but then like I think you get into a point where you dislodge yourself from a game, and then I've seen numbers dip, right, where they go like, oh, I'm gonna play 4 for the experience of being able to see what this is like, and then they jump onto 4 for 3 or 4 days, and they've lost 10 or 15, you know, members per stream that they would normally get. I apologize, that's my phone going crazy. And I, you know, I'm all for like making sure that the community gets like the references and stuff if that's what they want, but I don't think you lose anything from a game's perspective by not doing those things. In my personal opinion, I think sure it embellishes them a little bit more and you get a little more background to them, but I don't think like, in my opinion, Omega was great, but it would have been cool if it had been 10 and your final boss would have been Sin. Like that would have been super cool because a lot of them were already existing.
Or Sephiroth in my
Sephiroth,
case.
right.
I want
Yeah.
Final Fantasy X to be the next raid. I want it to be. I want Sin to be the next raid.
Yeah, where he just
Series.
converts into Jekt and then Jekt goes to Sin as the door boss. Like that would be super cool. Like I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do. I do like. So I won't talk about any of the story, but I do like the fact that these last 24-man raids for Endwalker were completely brand new story. I'm not going to get into that story because I don't want to spoil anything for Wraith, but it was a completely, new story. It had nothing to do with any other Final Fantasies out there. It didn't pull from anything. So it was great. I thought it was, pretty fantastic that they were able to come up with a new, a new story, a new compelling story that they could tell to other people.
14.
I think.
Sorry.
No, sorry.
Oh, so 14.
Go.
I'm muted. You're good. Go.
No, it's your show. No, so I guess like the.
Go ahead, Wraith.
So okay, the thing is like we've seen what is
hold
it?
on a second. We're on an ads.
We're on ads.
Yeah, we're on ads for a second. So stalling.
Sorry.
That's all right. We'll give people time to.
We stall. That's what we do.
Oh my god. I'll say what I was going to say because mine's not important. I was just saying that 14 is the amusement park for Final Fantasies. That's all I was trying to say.
True. Oh my god, totally. Yeah. You're 100% correct. It's except 7, dude. Except for 7. Where's my Sephiroth fight? Damn it. I'm such a nerd for Sephiroth. Like I love my Sephiroth stuff. But what was it?
I don't know if we would get a Sephiroth fight.
I don't think we would.
I mean, that's like everybody really wanting. Well, I don't want to talk too much about it, but everybody wanting Kingdom Hearts, like Keyblades and stuff in the game. Like, I think that would be cool.
Just play Gunbreaker.
If I wanted to play Gunbreaker, I would have been happy with 9 or with 8.
Dude, Kingdom Hearts would be such a cluster fuck to get into, like just from the legal side of things. Like, okay, we want to do a Kingdom Hearts crossover, and they're just like,
I mean, if they stick to the original characters, they could probably get Disney.
No, the Sora and Kairi and Riku are all owned by Disney, and they're in that adaptation.
Shit, you know how much I would lose it if they had like a Xemnas fight.
I think we're 20 seconds away from ads being done, right, Gibbles? On your side?
I think so.
Because I think ads came from yours.
Well. I don't see it. Them up. I think we're good.
Okay.
I also think like one of the big problems with
All right, we're back. I think so. I think we're back. We're back on mine at least.
One of the big problems with like the homages I see is like, so the first time it was like, Crystal Towers was like the first time they did like the really big like throwback homage to previous Final Fantasies, and then the Omega raids, which I think they were both handled well, but it's like, at what point is it just like fan service in lieu of original content? But it sounds like they remedy that problem later on, so what do I know? I'm a sprout, but
Well, I mean, I think every expansion, a lot of the content in the game is because, like, the Tower series, it's Final Fantasy 3. The Tactics is the 24-man in Stormblood. You got the Omega raids
careful.
Okay. I was keeping under Shadowbringers.
All right.
I was just doing the first 2 expansions. That's it.
You're good.
Yeah, you got Alexander's a reference to something too, isn't he?
He's just in
he's in other Final Fantasies,
yeah, and then obviously Omega raids are a bunch of stuff. That's as far as I was gonna go. I wasn't even gonna go into Stormblood. I was like, well, I mean, I can say Eureka's Final Fantasy 11. So
yeah, totally. Well,
they did have the 13 event in 2.0, so they brought like Lightning's outfit and her weapons into the game. So that was something from 13. Yeah,
I'm not the biggest 13 fan, so hey, good for those. Good for those few people.
We did get the 15. We did get the 15 event, which was you got the car, which was pretty cool.
They're doing a 16 event, and I want that Torgal mount.
Oh my god, yeah,
and the minion.
Yeah.
I'm still hot take. Everybody's gonna hate me for this, and you can riot all you want. I think other than like the fact that the event is happening and like the battle stuff you're gonna do, I think that the items are lackluster given that Yoshi P was producing 16, and they could have done more.
They could have gone a little bit more. I think, like especially like
the mount and the minion of the same character. I just feel like they could have done better.
I mean,
honestly,
at the same time, what would you have wanted the mount or the minion? You could have gotten the Chocobo from 16. Yeah.
Well, you could have done the Chocobo from 16. You could have done. They had already done with the 10th anniversary. They had done the Phoenix where you turn into the Phoenix. You could have turned into the Ifrit Phoenix combo and just flown around as the Ifrit Phoenix combo. Like, there's a million things that they could have done, and they just chose not, which is fine. Like, dude,
I love
we're gonna get it, and I'm gonna
man.
play it, but it's just like. It would have been cool to be able to get some other stuff, given that he had produced it, so he would have had a little bit more sway to bring stuff.
They also
in.
failed us not making that Phoenix 2-seater.
Totally.
You want to be ridden? You want to be the Phoenix and then have somebody ride you?
You should let your friends ride you. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Hey, pal, hop on. We're going for a ride. Yeah, I mean, I think it is like a little like. There's a lot in 16. Like, what do you pull that's like really iconic to specifically 16 outside of like Clive, Torgal,
Ambrosia?
That's kind of it.
I know a lot of people wanted Mid's hairstyle.
I could see that. I mean,
it'd be hard to do in 14, I think.
Yeah, they could have probably added some orchestrations. Alex said that definitely could have been added in.
But 7, come on, it's right there. Rebirth is right around the corner. Give me Sephiroth fight, please.
I'm so shocked that they didn't do a Buster Sword, like that the Buster Sword isn't in game already. Like that's just a free, Mog Station sword. Like that should have been. Yeah. And Samurai could have been like the Sephiroth sword, just had a super long, ridiculously long samurai sword. There's a lot of things they could have done with 7 that would have been like really easy in my opinion.
They like if they're gonna go all the way to have like the very underperforming Final Fantasy 7 Advent Children Cloud costume in the game, like they're not gonna have the iconic Buster Sword, the Masamune, the like a Sephiroth fight. I think that they're holding on to that stuff for like, all right, sales are down. We got to throw something to get players back in the game. What do we do?
See, what we really do is
hit the button.
Have Cloud's Advent Children's sword that like transforms, and just make that into a samurai sheath, and then you just pull out one sword.
the fusion blade is just the
fusion blade.
That's the sheath. You just pull out like an actual katana out of it. That's it.
That would be great.
That would be great.
But I do think so. Just to bring ourselves back around, so we can move on to topic 2. I think that the new player experience, while new current players think that it's a huge drag, which is fine. Like those of us who went through the 60 extra quests, I'm very happy that they were able to kind of streamline this a bit to make it a little easier to digest. I think a lot of the content, because of 1.0's failure and the people that they brought in to be able to fix for 2.0, I think being able to streamline it in a way that's meaningful but doesn't get rid of any of like the story background, because I think while it's a lot, it's still like lore and it's still effects. And what I like seeing is in streams like Wraiths and in Hexades and in Moxies, they're able to kind of pull back from those older moments. I think that's probably one of the most compelling things for me, is like watching you kind of run through the story as quickly as you are. And yes, Wraith's community he is sometimes stalling away, but he is actually progressing rather quickly, enough that he can remember super old content. You have to remember that those of us, unless we were like actively playing through the story again and again and again, we got like a 2-year break between MSQ, right? You finish MSQ in a couple weeks, and then you play through the patch content, and it's slow, but then you get like 2 years roughly between MSQs that there are moments that you forget, right? The game is 10 years old, and so there are moments that you can that you don't remember, and then when you see somebody watching them, they're like, oh, that connects in this way, and we go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like I forgot that even existed. It's kind of nice to see. I think the one thing that I really like, right, that you do at the end of each of the expansions is you do your tiered list of characters. It does give me like
very divisive.
Yeah, very divisive. It's always very divisive. I think it's cool because it gives this like background of like these characters that a lot of them you'd never see again, right? They're in that one expansion and that's it. And then it's just like, oh yeah, I forgot he was that important person, or I forgot that, he was, this compelling character. So it's nice to be able to like go back through those and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Or like, who is this? Who is this supposed to be?
Yeah.
There's points in the game where it even like makes fun of you for that. Oh hey, do you remember me? And it gives you like options, and you're just like, I don't fucking know.
Nope.
I do also really like Wraith's hot takes on characters that then end up dying, and then he has to feel bad about them. It's my favorite. I think basic bitch was the words that you used for Tesleen before she got changed into.
She kind of was like, if she might as well have been
She's
wearing
not the
a red
real
shirt.
Best friend. She's just a basic bitch best friend.
I mean, she kind of was the red shirt for Shadowbringers. I will give you that.
Right, like she might as well have been wearing a red shirt at that point. I was just like, oh, okay. Look, it's Alice's best friend that is a new character that we are just now being introduced to, huh? I bet we're going to have a long, loving relationship with this person. They're going to be one of our best friends, too. Yeah. I mean, she was kind of basic.
And I think that was a big flip, a big script flip for Shadowbringers than any other. And I think we talked about this today during your stream, which was like having the boss in the trailer be the very first boss of the dungeon. And it's just like this meaningless dungeon boss is like, wow, things are only gonna go up from here. Like it's only going to get cooler and more crazy from here. And I think that was a big script flip from the previous expansions where it was like you saw like the pictures of the dragons, but you don't really fight a dragon for like 2 or 3 dungeons, right? And then like,
it takes a while.
And knowing that Xenos is kind of around the corner for Stormblood, and you don't really fight him until you don't really fight him until the very end.
Well, you don't want to do the ghost ship fight? What?
So anyways, all right, well, we got through news and we got through our first topic, so we're gonna take a quick 5 minutes to let people stretch their legs and get their drinks refilled and get their snacks to come back again, and we'll be right back.
Not even that long ago. Not even that long of a loop. Not even that long of a loop. Not even that long of a loop either. Not even that long of a loop either. We should just need like a not even that long of a loop either. Hey, Ralphie. We should just need like a not even that long of a loop either. Hey, Ralphie. We should just need like a not even that long of a loop either. Hey, Ralphie. We should just need like a not even that long of a loop.
All right, guys, let's wait. Oh, wait, hold on. Camera, come on. We can do it. Come on, camera. You got it. Come on. There you go. All right. Welcome back, guys. We're going to start talking about topic number 2, which is being a Sprout streamer going through MSQ versus being an endgame veteran streamer going through endgame content. So my background is that I finished the game, I got fully done, and I was going to start Savage raiding, and I was like, I'm going to start streaming this. This is compelling content. I think it would be fun, you know, and there are other people that I was was watching that, you know, like we're like, yeah, you should totally do that. And I got into it, and it's been a slow roll. And not that it isn't a slow roll for a lot of people, but I actively search out Sprout streams like I am hunting down a bounty that would win me life or win me money for the rest of my life. And I know that that is something that other people do. I know that I am not the only one that does that. I look for super small streamers that are in Sprout mode. I generally look for cameras because I'm a flesh tuber preferred, but
Sure, yeah.
but yeah.
Grooming rate to be aesthetic.
Totally doesn't do that. Yeah, I'm gonna call liar, Alex. I'm gonna call you a liar because I know
I think
you do.
most of the people that are going to be in my chat did the same thing because I just went through the story again.
Honestly, I've been doing since Heaven's Word. I've been doing the same thing. Honestly,
It's good. It's so good to relive those moments, you know, through somebody else's eyes.
The vault is when that's the pinpoint moment when I hit the vault, because like there's always the joke about how I don't cry on stream and they all want me to. Here's the thing, I have, but I think I can hide it relatively well, but the vault fucking killed me. And so I was like, I immediately after that stream, I remember I was like, I just took to Twitch and was like, who's doing the vault? Who's doing the vault? There. There you are.
Following this guy. I think the funniest moment was this morning before Wraith stream. We were both caught in the finish. I can't remember what his name was. Oh man, I feel so bad. The Swedish guy that we were watching this morning. Was it Swedish? Was he Finnish? I can't remember what he was. We were both in his chat, and it was he and his wife, I think.
And they were both playing?
Early this morning, Wraith, when we were in the same Twitch chat.
Oh yes, Funky. Yeah.
Funky.
Shout out to Funky. Hey, Funky.
Yeah, shout out to Funky. Yeah, I'll throw one out there.
I don't know if the Benny G video would be spoilers for you, but I think you should watch that one.
Benny's good too. There's some like Benny isn't he's a Sprout, like he hasn't finished the story yet, but he's been doing some really cool stuff. So there's like you get your regular Sprouts, right? You get like the Wraiths of the Final Fantasy community who are running through the story, and people are the Wraiths, the Hexides at the time, the Moxies, Moxie was originally a Minecraft streamer and swapped over to Final Fantasy thanks to Free. And then Hexity was, I can't remember what he played before. It was some first-person shooter, and then swapped over into Final Fantasy and was running through the story. But then you get people like Benny. Benny is super cool. He does stuff like he makes voiceover gameplay, so he'll use his voice to run the dungeon. And it's really cool. Like he has like these keybinds set up on his computer that take in like the commands, and so he can be like, walk forward, stop, turn to the left, turn to the right, and then he'll be like,
that's awesome.
He'll just be like, he'll say the move and he'll just do the move. He was also doing one where he wanted to do like the old, like what made Twitch famous was like the interactive Pokemon game. Yeah, exactly what I'm talking about. So he wanted to do that, but for Final Fantasy, where people could put in exclamation commands and do like different attacks. So like he was getting a healer up where he was like, like cure 2 on player 5. Like he would just like go to player 5 and do cure. It was like really cool. Like he's
that
not doing,
cool, yeah.
He's not doing Sprout stuff, and he's a variety streamer, but he does a lot of Final Fantasy. But he's doing like these weird things with other tools to kind of, incorporate a better piece. Yeah, Hex also did WoW. Yes, that's correct. But I mean, your background is what? You played a lot of Destiny before. I know you're a big Destiny guy.
I think was a big Destiny guy.
Yeah, was is a good word.
So yeah, like
was is always the word for Destiny.
Yeah, day one raid racing for a really long time. Every year, every expansion.
Starting when?
Which was starting with honestly, I think it was probably I started doing the day one raid racing at Leviathan with Destiny 2. But I watched them with like, Taken King, Dado stuff, and some of those bigger names. And but the thing is like, I think as time went on, like the apathy that Bungie showed for its community kind of just like really pushed me away from any of that, because it's like, why do I even care about what's coming next? Like, I'm not hyped. Like the climactic finale of the Light and Dark saga is coming with the Final Shape expansion 2024, and I just don't give a shit. I'm past giving a shit. And so I think it was like 2 seasons ago with Destiny, I just was like, man, I've got nothing to do. I've literally done everything in the game. You know, I put myself on the leaderboards for day one. What else do I do now? And I was like, I need to find another game is what I need to do. I need to find a huge game with a lot of stuff to do that I can really like sink into. And that I've been putting off looking at Final Fantasy 14 for such a long time because I've been a long time Final Fantasy fan. And I was like, ooh, that's dangerous. I like, oh man, it's like an alcoholic looking at like an open bar. Like, man, there's a lot of really good stuff here, and I'm gonna definitely lose myself in this. But I decided to take the jump into it, and I've enjoyed it ever since. But it definitely comes with some, like, I'd say a lot of good stuff and some negative stuff when it comes to, especially being like a streamer that is primarily known for Final Fantasy stuff, especially.
Right.
Like the community, really great. Some of the like community also not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's always going to be some stuff with like, I think MMOs in general, you know, like big stuff in that regards.
Drama also just gets blown up, like unnecessary. Like there's currently some stupid drama about some tank in the most recent dungeon not doing AoEs, and it like there's like I ran into like 4 or 5 YouTube videos about people talking about it, and it just came from one tweet about it.
So one of the questions that was brought up in chat was, what do you think that makes Final Fantasy from the outside either unknown to some or off-putting that there's a hesitancy to pick it up?
So that's a good question. I mean, that's a really good question. I think like a lot of the hesitancy is just like, I think with any, not even just FF14, but like any game that this size and that's been going on with such an extended history, with such a like deep fan base and committed fan base, is like, well, if I start something new like this, or say WoW or even Destiny, it's like I'm going to be so far behind. I'm going to be having to like spend that grueling period of catching up and stuff like that, which I think is definitely where like a lot of the hesitancy to pick up games in general comes from, not just FF14, but like any long running live service game. You know what I mean?
I think for me, I had looked at doing 1.0 back when it first came out, and I was like super excited to get into it. Was, I think, right around the time that Guild Wars 1 was kind of petering out. There wasn't a lot of new content, and it was like looking for something new to do. I had done the WoW stuff, was unimpressed with the way that they like kind of didn't really make you into a very important person, right? I mean, it was a big like, hey, you're here, but you're not very important. I think WoW, like the Final Fantasy thing was off-putting for me at first because the hesitancy with the leveling caps. I don't know, Wraith, if you had heard about this fact from 1.0 days. So you could only cap a specific number of levels per week. Like it was like, and it would like, it greatly drain like what you earned. Like you'd only earn, like you still earn, but it would be such a like a small amount that you would earn in each of the classes. And so there was a lot of people who were very off put by that, because it's like, if I want to play the game for, 80 hours a week, I should be able to do whatever I want and get the XP the same if I was playing it for 20 hours a week. But they wanted to worry. Absolutely. Their worry was like what they're doing with the Savage rating, which Gibbles has had a lot of great hot takes on, which is just give me the ability to get all the gear right now, right? Well, your problem is that it cuts down the time that you want to play the game.
I'm fine with gear gatekeeping. My problem, and it's a whole other thing. Is gatekeeping people from being able to play with their friends.
Right.
That's a whole thing. You haven't hit it yet.
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet, but
it's only problem with current savage.
Yeah, it's only really kind of problem with current stuff. But I think for me it was the off-putting of like I don't want to like put time into this and then be told that I can't play anymore, right? I mean, that's been kind of like Yoshi's big thing is like take breaks, right? He's never been like you have to sub. What do we have to do to get you to sub for longer, right? It's always been like hey, play the game at your own pace, and if it's not enough, if you've had enough, step away. Like it's gonna be here when you come back, and it's a very different mentality than a lot of people have ever had before with streaming, because it's just not a normal thing to have to deal with. But I think like for me, when the servers came down for 1.0 and then 2.0 came out, I was like, I don't know if I really want to get into this. I'm not sure they've really worked out the bugs from 1.0, or they've gotten rid of it. And then my buddy of mine, when we were like right before Heavensward, was like, no, they actually figured it all out. Like they're doing the catch-up game, which is what everybody does, which is the rested XP. Park yourself in a city and you get rested XP while you're not online, up to 3 levels of rested XP, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's when I jumped in. And so that I don't think for me, and obviously for me in Heavensward, it wasn't that big of a slog, right? Because it's just ARR and then Heavensward. But, I can see from a hesitancy right now where it's like, okay, you have this really long first game and then you have to go through 4 other expansions to be able to get to the end game. And that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, even with like from my experience, like, so with the free trial, fantastic deal, right? Like, here you go. Here's 3 expansions worth of content. Sure, there's some limitations, but ultimately, overall, good deal. My experience with free trial is Destiny, which is here's nothing. Fuck you. Give us money. Oh, you didn't give us money? Here's a screen in your face telling you to spend money in our microtransaction store. Here, buy the next X pack. Here you go. Buy. And there's so little of that in FF14, but there's a stigma around MMOs and microtransactions and maybe even like pay to win and all this sort of stuff. And I think that's just kind of not there in 14, but it's like there's just that stigma that people who haven't looked deeper into it don't know that. I think there's a lot of advertising that they could do to get more people in rather than just the free trial stuff. Honestly, they got great stuff.
Yeah, the free trial on it. I was in a friend of ours, Togami's stream the other day, and there's one of her mods was like constantly talking about trying to do 14, and she's constantly talking about which one should I buy, which one should I buy, and we were all just like, don't buy it, just do the free trial. Like if you're speeding through it, then buy it. But if you get into it and you're like, oh wow, I really want to take my time with the story, just play the story. And if you're going slow, it's gonna take you like a year to get through the freaking free trial. Right. And just enjoy it.
Oh, and I forgot to mention this. This is actually other news that I should have mentioned. The collector's editions, if you just bought the base games, the collector's editions right now are 50% off for the holiday season. So it's a good time to get those extra mounted minions and a free Fantasia for half the price. If you haven't gotten that, it's definitely a good deal. Gives you a lot when you create a character, right? So like whenever I create a character, this is always my funny part. If I ever create a character, I always have to empty my mailbox of Final Fantasy stuff, of this like Square sending me crap in order to be able to get the rest of my Square crap, because I have so many envelopes that come in. And it's just like, here's this, and then this, and then this, and then this. I'm like, okay, I got it. Just
Fantasia is a scary thing.
It is. Oh, we got a raid. Hold on. Hexy. Hey, hold on. We got a Hex raid. Hold on. Going on here. Hex, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. My name is Cool Monster Gaming. I am joined by Gibbles Destruct and Wraithofthnine. We are doing our Final Fantasy podcast today. Hex, how did your raid go? Did you guys clear?
I missed the stream. Was he doing P10?
He was doing their UCOB stuff. Oh, not UCOB. Okay. I'm sorry. They were doing they're doing T11, right? I think you were on T11. Yeah, clear T11. So they're on to T12. The Prague team is a bunch of streamers who are doing all of the raids from start to finish. So from the very beginning of ARR all the way through, they're doing them they're doing them min eye level, no echo.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast is going good. Welcome in. We're discussing probably Hex, a topic that you can kind of hit in on is the vampire effect of going through the Sprout story. And for those joining, please note that we are at Shadowbringers at the Ilmeg dungeon. That is our cut point for spoilers. So we kindly ask that you keep your comments related to those.
I'm trying.
Be extremely vague, but Wraith's going as fast as he can. He's doing a good job. We give him crap in the stream that he's a big staller, but he's doing a good job.
Yeah, I just played this, right? I went fast, and it took me like a year to go through it, and I was
still a lot.
Yeah,
going back through it.
I also think that there's something to be said, kind of getting a little off topic, to not going fast, because it creates burnout, right? You don't want to burn yourself out on a story that you just rush your way through, and keeping yourself from going there and getting that far. But yeah, so the vampire effect is real. Like we said, some of us seek out our sprouts in our streams and watch out for them and see where they go. And, there'll be points in the story that everybody will be like, oh, Wraith's here. Everybody jump in. Wraith's here. Get his reaction.
Well, okay. How spicy of takes you guys want? Let me just ask you this.
Go ahead,
how spicy
as you want. Go ahead.
So I think a lot of what I've tried to do is just kind of like feel out the right, just the right enthusiasm and the right way of approaching things. Like, okay, obviously you're doing MSQ stuff. I think it's not a big secret that there are a lot of MSQ watchers and they are rabid, right? Not only that, but just going through, and especially going through any amount of content for the first time. I don't know if you'd call that not necessarily MSQ, but even some of the side content can be considered MSQ.
Yep.
But so I'm trying to hold it in, but I'm going to talk about Alex a little bit.
Go ahead. I love the hot takes from Alex. I think it's great.
So I personally was not the biggest fan of Alex because of primarily the story, but I think a lot of the original, I guess the first two, would be turns, the first 8, especially, I guess encounters or whatever were
for the tiers. Yeah. A 1 through 4 and A5 through 8.
a bit samey, right? They're a bit samey in visuals and kind of the overall just vibe and aesthetic and everything is just a bit samey.
I do believe you were not a huge fan of the time travel as well. Mixing time travel into a game always creates bad times.
Whenever you open the door to time travel, it's just a whole can of worms. It's
what?
Okay, you can't unclose that door no matter how much you try. You cannot unclose that door. And I remember from the streaming aspect side of things, I definitely lost some people because of that. Some of the people who had been there from the start, because they were very upset with my takes on that. And something that I notice a lot with, especially streaming a story and, having people especially so enthusiastic about a story that they cherish and love so much, is whenever you give some of those takes, sometimes people are going to agree with you. Sometimes people are not going to agree with you. And something that I've noticed a lot in just from being a newer streamer is sometimes I witness some feigned enthusiasm and stuff as a way of kind of making everybody happy, but not necessarily being real. Something that I always try to do is I keep it real to a fault. Alexander, I'm looking at you. It's a bit mid, but yeah, I think it's kind of, it's like a double-edged sword with the MSQ stuff. That's definitely where you're going to see a lot of people coming in to watch and engage with you and be there for the really big juicy moments, but they want to see it a certain way and not see it they want to see it the way they want to see it and not the way that you want to always like.
And I think Alex kind of hit the nail on the head there. So Alex is the first raid tier. So Heaven's Word is the first raid tier where the raiding was divided into a normal mode and a savage mode. So like if you look at like Hexidy's team is doing T11. They're not doing T11 Savage, they're doing T11 because that content is so difficult that it is Savage mode content. It is not as difficult as it was back then, so we always refer to the phenomenon of what currently is going on in Final Fantasy as the cup effect. So you have a cup that is filled with the raid, right? And a portion of that cup is the mechanics that you have to fight and the boss difficulty, but then another portion of that cup is the complexity of the job that you're performing, right? So in the newer fights, so this is kind of a big benefit to the newer players who didn't go through the old stuff, the rotations of the fights have become a lot easier. So the cup side of that has become smaller and smaller. But on the reverse side of that, the mechanics become harder and harder because the rotations are considered easier. They're not simplified, right? You still have to know what you're doing at any given time and be able to play well. But in regards to what they were back in ARR or Heaven's Word or Shadowbringers at the time, the cup kind of has been getting smaller and smaller for the difficulty of the job and larger. Yeah, and that 2-minute meta, right? So we get these lineups now that are exactly 2 minutes, right? So everybody's burst lasts and they can re-up their burst after 2 minutes. For warriors, they have a 1 minute soft burst and then they go into their big burst at 2 minutes. But for the most part, everybody laps into like this 2 minute rotation that kind of cycles itself after 2 minutes. And so it makes room for like, when do we pot? When do we throw, pots on our tinctures on top of this in order to make the fight a little bit easier or like that. But it's this cup effect. So while the content now is, I don't want to say easy because it's still difficult, right? People are doing it in Blue Mage and it's still very difficult to do on the coil stuff. But it is not as difficult as what the rotations were in ARR with ARR gear, right? You're doing min-eye level, but you're doing it with an easier rotation. So you're able to kind of see these easier mechanics with an easier rotation.
We tried min-eye level, no echo, synced coils in some of the coils fights. A lot of fun. Bahamut's a bitch.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you, like, the one thing that is instantly going to make the first 2 raid tiers easier than when they were current content, and that is accuracy.
Yep.
You are now statting your gear with, while like your melds might be a little bit differently, but you're getting direct hits in now, and you're not statting in only so you can just hit the boss.
Right.
If you don't know, back in the day in A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Word, there was an accuracy stat. It's where your direct hit was, and it didn't matter anywhere except for Savage tier or coils because you would hit 100%. But instant you entered into those, your accuracy stat actually mattered because you could miss.
Right. But it does, I think the separation of normal and savage was a good separation in my opinion. I think it gave a lot of like good, like being able to let people enjoy the story of Alexander or the story of Omega or the story of, the future ones, without having to worry about it being this like grudgingly difficult, I can only watch it on YouTube because I don't feel like I'm good enough. But with that being said, I do just want to preface that I always believe that people are good enough to raid. If you feel like you want to raid and you want to do that, everybody can raid, and that's my mentality. Hex has heard me say it. I know Blind has heard me say it. I know Gibbles has heard me say it. I live into the mentality that if you want to raid, there are groups out there that will help you learn how to raid and do that stuff. Like, so I don't ever want to hear people say like if it's not for you, then it's not for you. But I don't want to hear anybody say I can't do it because I'm not good enough, because like there are people who will be able to help you out with doing that kind of stuff. Blackmore TV, thanks for coming in, man. First time chatter. He said there are definitely people in MSQ viewer crowd who get mad if you don't have the exact same opinion or that they didn't pick the right dialogue choices. And that
Blackmore,
is 100% sure.
Yes.
You not liking Alex? Are you ready for my hot take that in the community is way hotter than your hot take?
Please.
I don't like Shadowbringers.
Oh,
that's a really big hot
interesting.
take.
I quit. It's the 2 dungeons after where you're at. I stopped playing the game.
Really?
Yeah, I bought the game, or I played it since 2.3. I went all the way I played it like a ton through that whole time, got weeklies done, everything like that. Shadowbringers dropped. I leveled Gunbreaker up. I then played through the story. I got to level, what is it, 78, 68, 78. And then I quit right before the 78 dungeon. I was just like, I can't do this. I bounced off the story.
Lease. What were your thoughts on Lease? We got to have this talk.
Oh, I don't mind Lease.
Oh, thank God. Everyone's like,
You've redeemed yourself, Gibbles.
We've seen a lot of Lease hate in my chat, and it's just like the most unwarranted bullshit ever. It's like, bro, did we play the same expansion? Oh, I'm sorry. This is the Lease show in all of Stormblood.
One of the other takes that I saw in a meme was that Lease is just. Oh no, yeah, Lease. I was indifferent about her. I don't know. I just.
Fine.
It felt like a throw, right? It felt like a throw. For me, it felt like a throw because it was like, well, her sister died, so okay, I guess they had to add another Scion to the mix. Like, okay, like, meh.
I mean, okay.
She's still the same Scion. I don't know.
I'm not going to name names, right? But I definitely saw someone's MSQ. And they were really, really, really upset about Papa Limo, right?
Oh.
Dying.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, really? I personally, I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks, I guess. We didn't really see him too much. So, well, okay. That's sad, I guess. But I think that's like one of the things about being like an MSQ streamer, especially, is like, you're trying to please everybody, so it's like, oh, there might be some, and especially if you don't know, and if you're like even if you are being authentic with not seeing spoilers and stuff, which there are some people who definitely plan ahead. I've talked to them, again, not naming names, but it's like in the pursuit of trying to please everybody, it just comes across kind of like hollow, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
There's a couple of those.
I can see that.
But yeah, like it's a, like I said, I think it's like a double-edged sword with a lot of the like with MSQ, because the other big problem is that MSQ is eventually going to run out. I'm going to, like, for me especially, like, I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do post MSQ? You know, do I start stalling more now that I'm getting kind of closer to the end? I'm just kidding. Any rate, people here, I'm just kidding.
Alvin was like, "Don't worry, Wraith. Don't worry."
Then you become Hexy, who's obsessed with raids right now.
Raiding right now, yeah.
Nothing but raids.
We pull you into raid. You know, we pull you into Savage raiding, get you through the Savage. You know, the current Savage tier. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Like you still have 24-man raids for Shadowbringers. You still have 24-man raids for Endwalker. You have 8-man raids for Shadowbringers. You have 8-man raids for Endwalker.
Mount farms.
There's mount farms that you can do for trials, EX trials. You've got there's definitely other content that you can do as well. Thank you, Novelist. But yeah, he is stalling away on the EXs. That's true. Hex doesn't want to do the EXs right now, so he's been stalling away on that. He's been super stalling away in an effort to try to get through current Savage tier. And the Savage tier is fun. Like, I think it's a lot of fun, and we get a lot of groups together to do that kind of stuff, and that's super fun. But I think there is, like, when you get to endgame, you're going to get to the end of the expansion, and you're going to be like, okay, now what can I do? And people are going to be like, you could do this, you could do this, you could, like, there's a million things right now. And that's why I always tell current streamers that are going through MSQ, like, should I slow down before Dawn Trail? No, just play the game. Like, play the game, and there's a million other things that you can do. And if you want to play something else, then play something else. Like, people are going to understand that you're done with content.
Yeah. You're gonna get hit with choice paralysis is what's gonna happen.
Right.
Choice paralysis.
You got crafting, you got gathering, you got. I mean,
well, and see, a lot of the times
you can Omni 90. I mean, that's a track that you can take.
Everybody asks me like, okay, hey, well, you should do fishing soon, and I'm ordering the shirt soon. If you don't know, I'm ordering a shirt that says Before I start any sort of fishing, I have to get a shirt for the stream that says, "Of course I come fast. I got fish to catch." It's on the way. I promise.
You also have to do so much fishing that you can get the Master Troller title.
Oh, that would be perfect.
That's another Koji Fox pull in. That was pretty fantastic.
Koji's awesome.
Yeah, there's
man.
Monster Hunter stuff. There's Eureka. There's Bozja. I mean, you've got tons of stuff. I don't know what Bozja is. So.
and then you can hit the weird rabbit hole that is nothing but deep dungeon like streamers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Palace of the Dead, Heaven on High.
We've tried Palace. It's weird you can't try Heaven on High without first clearing fully Palace. I haven't cleared Palace or even came close. I think the most we've gotten to is
that's a change.
Yeah, to even accept the quest to go to do that, like you have to clear Palace of the Dead all the way through.
I don't think you have to go all the way to floor 200.
I think it's 50. Yeah, I think you usually get to 50.
Yeah, that's right. It's 50. Yeah.
Palace is 200 floors, right?
Yeah, I like to do the 200 run because it's got the nice amount that's worth 13 million in the on average in the market board.
I think it's 100 floors. I think, right? Or it might be.
POTD is 200, and then Heaven on High is 100.
Okay, so Palace of the Dead has the story for Palace of the Dead is the first 100 floors.
Yeah, the story for Palace of the Dead is first 50 floors. That gets you through. I mean, there's side story, but it's
what's Necromancer? Because that's I'm going to
so
go.
Necromancer is soloing POTD. I believe it's through all 200 levels, all 200 floors.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
we're gonna do that eventually. Yeah, solo. I like that sort of stuff. Like in Destiny 2, I did a lot of like solo flawless dungeon speedruns and stuff, and that's
gonna be right up your alley.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of that in a lot of the like explorable area stuff as well through like Shadowbringers and whatnot. So that's stuff.
And then we got
enjoy.
Blue Mage to go through.
And you do have Blue Mage, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You could do all the raids on all the hard raids on Blue Mage to get the Marlboro mount. The tentacle mount.
Carnival, and then by the time you're like by the time you even actually finish the story, Dawn Trail is going to be coming out, and this is going to be another limited job.
That's the goal, is to get to. I want to at least finish the like MSQ stuff by Dawn Trail, which means I might be spending a little bit more time stalling in side content, just a little bit, like because I've done zero crafting or like any Disciples of Hand or Land. Haven't touched it at all. I usually don't in most MMOs. That's usually the part that I always just kind of skip out on.
Crafting is actually fun in 14. That's a take.
Good.
I feel a lot of people have, not just me.
Yeah, that's what I've seen a lot of people say is, and that's good
too.
There's the
crafting gives you the when you repair for plus 100, so it repairs over the 100 mark. So if yours at 75, you get 175%. And I do believe, Wraith, correct me if I'm wrong, you're maining Samurai, but you do delve into Dark Knight quite a bit.
So the original goal, so we started ARR and got through all of ARR on at least like just the 2.0 on Warrior. We started like the first 50 levels on Warrior. Then we swapped over to Samurai because Samurai is just cool as fuck. It's stylish. It's slick. And the goal is to kind of do the now. Me and the mod team, Hi Rocco, Zell, and El Mako, the mods that we've been talking about doing each of the. We've been trying to get Dark Knight a lot lately for specifically for Shadowbringers to like match the
match Meteor,
the canon job, So that's what we're trying. We're trying.
It does actually help. They do throw in extra. It's extra dialogue. It's pretty much it. But they do throw in extra dialogue if you're on the correct class.
Yeah,
and the showcase class for the expansion, basically. Yeah.
Samurai. I think maybe that's why I liked Stormblood so much, because I loved Stormblood. I think a lot of people that I've seen is like, you're Stormblood, you're gonna be kind of iffy on. It's like, no, this is my favorite. Like,
I think Stormblood's story, like, you can break it down and it's really good. And I think one of the reasons why I don't mind Lease is if you look at Stormblood, you got it like everything is foils, like right, you compare the different characters to each other, right? Like Lise is a foil to your character and Xeno's character and Hien's character, and you're all four of you are like going down similar paths.
Yeah, totally. It's like everyone's kind of
yelled him to do
mirroring
job
each
quests.
other.
You're not doing your job quests.
Okay, look. Here's
do you not like abilities? You gotta unlock.
No.
Okay,
So a job quest, I think, yeah. He's been doing them. I mean, he's getting there.
I do. Here's the thing: between 60 and 70 for Samurai, there are 2 abilities, and the one ability that I'm missing on Samurai is not something that I see myself rotating in that much. Okay, I'm just saying, and I'm not doing hard content before I go start looking at savages and shit like that. That's what I would probably like be like, okay, I need to get this done before I do any of that stuff. But just for MSQ reasons, like, it'll be fine. It'll be there.
Yeah, it's fine. It creates that turmoil in your chat of like, do your job quest. You're like, oh, but I'm doing MSQ.
I gotta get mine, right?
I'm gonna say this. I don't think it's spoilers. Just me to you. Just a little like helpful thing. You have to do your role quests in Shadowbringers, or you get locked in the story.
Yeah. We have so. I'm definitely going to be doing the we're treating it like MSQ because my mods have told me like, okay, hey, here's the plan. They have a plan laid out for me for like when I'm going to be inserting all this other stuff like role quests and stuff for Shadowbringers. And I think they want me to do all 4 of them. And I was like, whoa, well, let's pick 2. Okay. But no, I think we're going to the plan is to do all 4 before we like continue into Endwalker, so that will definitely.
You have to do all of them because if you don't do them all, then you don't get the final quest for doing them all, and that's a very important MSQ quest.
Okay.
The Shadowbringers role quest, the capstone is pretty big for the story.
Yeah, it's very big.
That's good. Okay.
Alvin says the final quest slaps.
Good.
Well, Alex wants to know if there's any passing interest in other roles such as caster, healer, or fizz ranged.
So, just because there's a stigma around the difficulty and how, like, a lot of awfulness behind it, I've kind of taken an interest. This is like, I haven't talked about this at all on stream. It's totally like something that I've just been like thinking about and playing around with. Is Black Mage. I've been kind of looking at Black Mage a little bit because I hear it's hard and it's like it's hard for not only yourself but the team around you as well, because you kind of have to like
adjust
you're
around,
going to be great or it's gonna it's just a snooze.
It's one of those high skill ceiling ones. Just because you're hard casting for so long, you have to know the fight, so you know where to stand. There's
a lot of like, so what's cool about some of these. This isn't really spoilery, but what's cool about a lot of the like the Black Mage stuff is you can choose to go super fast Black Mage and just throw a bunch of spell speed in. Or you can choose to go super crit, which is just super slow, and you just have to kind of time yourself right to be able to slide cast out of the way, and be able to just make those big gigantic hits. Both are very viable, but they're both very, very, very different builds. So your rotation is a lot faster because they don't have a lot of OGCD.
Well,
X can play Black Mage. Y'all can do it too. That was what
you don't have a VPN, so you get like the perfect ping to slide cast.
Sure. I just learned about like slide casting and stuff recently because like with Samurai you kind of don't have to do. There's not a whole lot of like charge up abilities. You kind of just like slap something with a stick and it dies. And Dark Knight is kind of the same way for the most part. I mean, it's only like I think we're at like level 57, so like we're slowly but surely making our way up to the point where we can actually use it in MSQ. That being said, I think the inverse of that is also something I've been thinking about is White Mage, just because I am. But that being said, like healing has never been something that's like been ever on my radar in any game across the board. Like healing What am I, a girl? No, I don't want to. I don't want to heal and be the backbone of the team. Nah, I want to do big damage.
You should look at Sage, because Sage is one of those classes that it's not really a spoiler. It's just the build of the class. You throw Cardian onto somebody, and then you can do damage, and that damage also equates to healing. So you can still do like
fun.
Big,
You get to be God.
big DPS. Yeah.
Well, also maybe I could start like getting some revenge and pulling people into holes the way that I've been getting pulled into holes for like the last
I have
two
a macro
expansions.
for you.
You put a big target on your back, Wraith, with that statement.
I have a macro for you.
Coming for you with their rescues.
Play Sage, and I have a macro for you. I call it the Ritz Killer 9000.
It's amazing.
Sage has a gap closer, so you rescue and gap close back to back with one button press, and you just pull someone into a tank buster and you gap close out.
You rescue them into the bad, and then you rescue yourself out of the bad.
That's pretty good. I think I have a couple of people. I'm looking right into the camera. I have a couple of people who I'd love to do that to. That sounds wonderful. Be God, yeah. Be the rescue God, and then get away right away.
Oven says, "Try me."
Yeah, I mean, I've never really just been like a healer person. Like the quote unquote healer in Destiny is Warlock. I don't know how much you guys know about Destiny, but it's like not a healer. Like you have like 2 healer abilities. Healer-ish abilities.
You get the pool. The pool's a healer. You can heal in the pool.
That's it. But that's it. But then like the rest of it is just like the fattest damage possible. Also at the same time, they get to do both, which is great.
No, if you're not Void Warlock, then what are you doing?
Oh, dude, I was born to Nova, forced to well. That's the life of a Warlock main.
Oh my god,
I'm a Warlock main, and well skating definitely changed the game a little bit. I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. But yeah, like healer's never been on my radar too much. But I think especially the way that FF14 like incentivizes you to play things outside your comfort zone for the extra bit of like narrative depth that it brings to the table is something that like Blizzard couldn't dream of doing something that like narratively complex, you know. I mean, they're still trying to figure out like
in WoW, right? You're not the center of attention, right? You're just a guy who helps out versus you know, you're the warrior of light, or in Wraith's case, the warrior of beating ass.
The warrior of beating ass. There's ass out there, and I will beat it.
That's right. Warrior of darkness, warrior of light? No, warrior of beating ass.
That it doesn't matter which dimension I'm in or whatever it is. Well, and like with WoW, I think, and not just WoW, but like a lot of other, especially ESO, I feel like it's like there's zone quests, and there's no overarching story and no reason to, like I don't like this zone from like an aesthetic perspective or whatever. I'm just gonna skip it. I don't need to be here. I can just go somewhere else. Right. And there's always that kind of mentality where it's like you get to be very picky and choosy, and there's not like, there are definitely zones I've been to where I've just kind of been like, this may not be my aesthetic, and then the story is like super good in FF14 in comparison. And yeah, I think like putting you at the front like focus of the story is really, really good for some people, but for like a classic, like I've been playing WoW since launch and old school RuneScape since 2007. Yeah. What the fuck is the story shit going on here? You know, it's different.
So Noble says Final Fantasy 14 healing is like Atonement Priest healing. I don't have a recollection of that because I didn't play enough WoW to make that connection, but
so I watched someone. I was watching a streamer earlier who's done a lot of WoW, and they were reacting to another WoW streamer. I don't remember who it was, but they were just doing Ifrit Extreme Mine, and he was playing Astro, and he was just constantly throwing out heals. He didn't throw like a single dot in, a single bit of damage. And so that's one thing. I don't have no experience like raiding in WoW if you do or anything like that, but definitely like if that's true for WoW, how if you're a healer, you just constantly pump out heals. It's definitely different in 14 because you're really you're a green DPS, and then you just mitt the raid wides.
100%.
You're like, oh shit, everyone took damage. Heal real quick. All right, back to damage.
So
that's cool.
But yeah, so I think kind of wrap up this section before we move into our final section, which we're making some good time today. I do think that there is a benefit to being a streamer who's never played the game coming in and start playing. You're gonna get a lot of attention in that way, and then you can kind of divert that attention in a way that might be meaningful to bring in.
Yeah, definitely. It's easier to tackle the whole thing. Yeah.
For sure. And then and so Noble says Atonement Priest was Disc Priest, cast Power Word Shield, and then spawns Smite. Allies with Power Word Shield gets healed while you smite. Yeah, so that's basically Sage. Basically, you put a marker on everybody, and then that marker, when you cast a damage, does heals. It's basically Sage. But yeah, our final topic for tonight is the things that we would like to see in the game. Now, we're not talking about changes to current content. We're talking about features from other MMOs or other games that we really liked that are not in this game that we think that would help benefit this game. I will kick off because my take, I think, is the hottest take, not really the hottest take, but the best take when it comes to housing. I still stand by that. Housing, your first house should have been the Scions of the Dawn. That was your house. It was an instance housing. That you could have gone into. It would unlock gardening for everybody, because that's the one big thing that's locked. You could do submarines, you could do ships. Those are all locked behind FC housing, and it's only if your FC allows you to do it, right? Because you can lock out those portions as an FC leader. I think it's a huge lockout for the game. I think it affects the market board, and the fact that, like, if I make onions for your chocobo, that is locked behind gardening. If I don't have access to gardening, then I have to pay for those. I think it was a really hot miss for them to not just do FC housing for FCs and then have your own personal housing, that if you're the party lead, in the same way, I don't want to dive too much into this, but in the same way that Island Sanctuary is, where you can go into other people's house and see what's there, right? They could you can set it up the way you want to, but they still get access to things like gardening. They still get access to things like ships. They still get access to things like decorating, but it's not locked behind, hey, you're part of this lotto system and there's only a certain amount of spots that can utilize it. Too bad, so sad, right? I mean, that's my big, like, I've been pitching this forever, and I hope Square's watching, because it would be cool to do the Scion's house as an instance housing in Dawntrail. That would be cool.
Would be a cool thing to do, like, after you finish ARR and, like, into Heaven, or maybe you'd have to beat Heaven's Word first, and then it's just a quest you pick up from Riange, and then it becomes, like, essentially like an island, like the Island Sanctuary, but it's unlockable in Heaven's Word instead of all the way at the end of Endwalker.
Right. And I think until they put gardening into Island Sanctuary, which who knows, I think gardening will be something that will be forever locked. I can live without ships. I can live without airships and boats. Like, that's something I can live without. There is some stuff that would be nice to have off of those ship quests and whatnot. But I think gardening is so, like, the gardening in this game is so strong from, like, a perspective of, like, being able to crossbreed, and crossbreeds create new plants, and the plants can then be crossbreeded again. Like, it's very complex and very, like, fun and cool, but it's locked. Like Wraith just went like, whoa, what? I've never seen that before.
Yeah, because it's not something I didn't even know the crossbreeding thing. I've been using 2.3.
There's gardening. Wait, there's gardening. Like,
yeah.
Dude,
so smalls can have an 8 plot. Mediums can have 2 8 plots, and larges can have 3 8 plots. And, like, there are ways to get, so your chocobo, I know the chocobo for you is a very difficult thing to bring out. It's a break of immersion.
It is.
It's fine. The chocobo can be leveled up to level 20. After level 10, you have to start using Thavnarian onions to be able to bump it bump its cap to the next level. So you get to level 10, you give it an onion, it gives it the ability to level to 11, but you have to go through its XP progression, and then each level up until level 20 gives you you have to use an onion for each of those levels. The game gives you one as part of the side questing. So if you do all the side quests, you get, I think, one, but then you have to pay for them, and they're like 100k on average per in each of the worlds is generally where they sit, is about 100k.
Gotcha.
It's just it's dumb in my opinion. I think it's a break in the system where, like, here's the super fun thing with chocobos that you can do, but you can't do it unless you have gardening or you pay for it off the market board, and I think it's a miss.
I do like Alex's point too. Make houses one per service account. I like that.
Like I said, if you do instance housing, I would guarantee that you have a lot of people who don't care enough about getting their own personal house outside of outside of that one instance housing, because they get gardening, and they wouldn't have to worry about being a part of an FC that would give them access to ships and boats. And then you just make the instance housing, or you make the current housing system into FC only, right? And then it builds a community, right? You get a room in your FC house. You have your own personal house that you can decorate. You know, I think it creates a better overall system, and it would solve a lot of the problems that people are like, I can't get a house, this is dumb. Like,
yeah, I think instance housing in general, like from what I've seen across the board, works really well. Like I think ESO does that, where it's like you just buy a house
and you become part of whatever instance ward. Yeah, instance ward, and then you just go to it, and there's no timer. Like they could get rid of the destruction system, you know, because it wouldn't need to be there. I mean, maybe for FC housing, but your personal housing wouldn't need to worry about being destroyed.
RuneScape housing. Yeah,
I mean, Guild Wars housing was really cool. Original Guild Wars. If nobody played original Guild Wars, your guild housing was also half of the arena for guild versus guild battles. So you had your area for all of your merchants and stuff, and it was an instance, right? You go into it, and then when you paired up to do a fight with another guild, your instances were bound together. So like half of it would be their FC house, and half of it would be your guild house, and half of it their guild house, and you'd have an arena where you could fight in the middle that was bound together. I thought was really cool. It was a really good way of doing it. Gibbles, you got anything?
Okay, yeah. So on that, well, one, I wanted to tell you, they've talked about adding the airship and the submarine to personals.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So that has been something that they have mentioned doing. And then so now onto my thing. We've been talking about what I want to add to the game. I actually made a YouTube video about this. That was same video we mentioned earlier about how I hated Eureka, and I think this would be something really cool. I mean, I kind of have two things, but first thing, I mentioned adding this to exploration zones, and if you've played ESO, delves, something, an overworld-esque dungeon. You don't sink into it. It's not instanced. It's you can attach like daily quests to it, something like that. I think that would be a really cool thing, and it would liven up certain areas you could explore into, right? And something else to do besides fate grinding every freaking thing in this game. But
delves are good.
Huh?
I think delves are really good. Yeah, like they work in ESO very well.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to put the sky shard at the end, right? You don't need to lock a progression behind it, but you can put something in there and create like some aspect where you can go in with a party or solo, and it's a fun little overworld dungeon. And I think the place it belongs is in exploration zones, and like the next one. The thing I want to add outside that is I want 4-man extremes. I want them to make like Unreals using final bosses from dungeons. Like give me Fenrir, give me Mistbeard, I'm trying to think of other final bosses from 4-man right now.
There was a call to do, in the same vein, there was a call to do Savage 24-mans. Like taking the 24-mans and doing a normal and Savage version of the 24-mans. I think that would be fun and cool. I think my problem with doing a Savage 24-man is you get into the vein of the the bigger WoW 24-man raids where it's like, oh, you got to do the harder content stuff, and I think it would be good if it was done correctly, right? I mean, I think everything is good if you do it correctly. But
I feel like a lot of people when they hear that are gonna tell you, well, we got Arsenal, we got DR.
Yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
that was the thing, is like DR Savage was already really difficult to get groups for. But I think you would see more communities built around 24-man Savage things if it was there. Right now, it's not. It's just content that you could do. It's easy, right? Or it's easy enough.
We'll talk about logistical nightmare. Adding voice acting to ARR. I'm just saying, you want new people to be a little bit like, well, I don't care if it's of GoFundMe that they throw up somewhere. I'll contribute to that. Like, nothing turns people off in modern MMOs. Like, you have New World doing it, you have ESO doing it, where every single bit of dialogue is voice acted. Side content.
Well, I like the Shadowbringers with a lot more voice acting starting to happen.
Yeah,
it's a lot better, but it still needs to be like, they just need to go the extra mile, put it 100%.
It gets better and it gets more.
Yeah.
To pull a little bit from
for
chat,
MSQ.
So I agree with this one. The transmog system from WoW. So if you're unfamiliar with the transmog system from WoW, the way that it works is the moment you touch a piece of content or don it on your body as a piece of content that you wear, it then becomes something that you can transmog or glamour into any piece that you have from then on. It's basically a big book of unlock. Yeah, and it basically gives you like essentially a walk-in closet type of deal in the way that Blackboard is saying, where the moment you touch something, you then have the ability to glamour it to something, and you're not having to worry about stashing it in your glamour chest or stashing it the armoire chest. It's just a part of like what you have access to, and then just being able to have like a tile that just says it's this one, and you tie it back to your class.
So
my inventory is awful.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? I mean, if you put on a piece of armor, if I told you tomorrow that you could put on a piece of armor and then throw it away because you'd have access to glamour it later, how much more space in your armory, in your inventory would there be?
A lot.
Exactly. I've seen the unopened chests that you have.
So many
pieces. So many. The other one that was brought in was changing the currency for the fates to the accepted bicolored gemstones that we have in all of them, and changing all the rewards to those as well. So Wraith, you're going to be getting into these soon, but all fates in Shadowbringers and in Endwalker, there's like a fate grinding system that you can build up. But all the fates give what's called bicolored gemstones, and those bicolored gemstones are usable across Shadowbringers and Endwalker, so you can get them in Shadowbringers and still spend them in Endwalker. But it's one currency, so it's basically the poetics of fate grinding. So being able to bring those back to the old content, so that it would bring those, like, it would make people do fates in the old content.
Yeah, Alex. As much as I hate like everything being fate grind, I love the bicolored gemstone system.
Yep, and I think it would be good if they would go back and do it the other, like they would get rid of the Centrino seals and the whatever it is. If they got rid of it and they went back and just made it all bicolored gemstones and made all the rewards bicolored gemstones, I think you would see a lot more people grinding those older fates areas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also like Blackmore's comment over here: a walk-in closet and housing.
Yep.
For like your glamour chest, how you address your glamour and stuff like that. Because I mean, like, they already have that design. Just make it like the exact same thing as when you call the esthetician.
Yep.
But now you have your glamour dresser, and you can spin your character around now, and you can just let you swap the gear. So you can actually see it instead of a little tiny window.
I will say, the one thing I really like, they did add the ability to be able to see what your character looks like in Mog Station gear. So any of the costumes that you would buy from the Mog Station, you can go to your in-room and you can wear them and look at what they would look like on your character before you buy them. So before it was just they might look good, it might be fine. Now you can actually go in and say, oh, this item looks like this on my character. Okay, I'm okay with that. And then go to the store and buy it.
Hey, I really like the way this outfit looks. Oh, it's all one piece.
Right. Yeah, and Yoshi P was against it at first because he felt like, you know, I'm not really sure what his back end, you know, pushbacks were, but I think it's, you know, I think some kind of the glamour system needs to be updated. Whether they give us more plates, we know that they can do it. They just did it with gear sets. They just gave us 100 gear sets this last time round. There's no reason why they can't expand glamour to give us the same. Because we don't even have enough glamour plates right now to give one per class. So those of us who do, if you get to the crafting and gathering, if you do the crafting and gathering relics to get the shiny crafting and gathering tools, some of us, like, I will meld or I will glamour my relics onto my tools. So I have to go in and use each of them uses a glamour prism to be able to meld them back if I change them into the whatever the current
then you have to keep the tool available too. Instead
you have to keep it stashed somewhere because it's a mess and they need to fix it.
I'd love to see more Final Fantasy VII content added into the game. God damn it! Give it to me, please.
P, if you're there, please. Buster Sword, please.
Sephiroth trial. I don't know.
We just want our Dark Knights to be able to wield a giant sword like Cloud.
Sephiroth solo trial. Make it Kingdom Hearts 2 Sephiroth fight.
Oh my god,
14.
no.
I'd have to change more than just my pants if they added that. Kingdom Hearts 2 Sephiroth fight. Oh.
I had an argument with one person, or they were saying like, "Oh yeah, Sephiroth is so much harder in Kingdom Hearts 2," and I was like, "You take that back."
Yeah.
Well, compared to one,
hard in Kingdom Hearts 1.
Oh my god, yeah.
They were saying the fight in 2
so
is harder than the Platinum Challenge, and I was like, no.
I don't want to forget.
You have more tools.
I don't want to
way
forget,
more tools in 2. Yeah.
Noble did make a comment of wanting to make it so that retainers and personal inventory were all connected. I would dare say that maybe not connected, but being able to, when you DC travel, being able to have access to your retainers, even if it means pulling their gear that they're selling off of the market board in order to make that happen. I think that's just a repercussion of traveling that you have to deal with, and that's fine. On the same vein, I know that they've talked about it at the last at the US live letter, at the one in Vegas, at the post interviews. I would really like for them to open up DC travel to if I'm in NA, I can go to EU, I can go to JP. I know that they have reservations on doing this because of cultural differences. So Wraith, I don't know if you know this, when you Savage Raid in JP, it's not really a thing as much. There's not really a lot of differences between the EU side and the NA side when it comes to like raiding and whatnot. Everybody kind of does the same thing. In the JP side, you party finder strictly to learn the fight, and once you learn the fight, you actually queue for it. So like you queue through duty finder. So that's the biggest difference, right? So right now, everybody party finder in NA, everybody party finders their clears. Like you party finder out that you're looking for, uncleared people who have uncleared because of lockouts for the week. In JP, you and the number one thing that we tell new players is never queue for EXs, never queue for savages, right? It's something we just tell people not to do as like a wait in queue for. In JP, they do it. That's how they do it. You get your clears every week by just jumping into duty finder and queuing yourself up for the fight as a solo or your group of friends, and they throw a bunch of macros out of what the strats are that they're going to be doing, and text chat is big in JP. Then you just go. Yeah, the text chat is huge in JP. Like the macros are like literally everything you're going to see in the fight. Noble says that NPC team that can take you to dungeons or whatnot allow us to change into the NPC to FF characters we like the bland mage NPC, allow us to change them into Vivi or Lulu, so on and so forth, just for pure aesthetics and memories. That would be cool, like being able to like change yourself into old Final Fantasy characters. So like at Halloween time they had that guy you could change into other 14 characters. They wanted to do it so that they could do it. But
I think a Lulu-esque character would be a really cool caster to have in the game.
Yep.
Uses a puppet for like their casting and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know mixing the NA, EU, and JP environments would be a logistical nightmare. I am fully aware that those would be very dangerous things to do, but there are a lot of EU characters, a lot of EU players that would want to play with NA, and NAK players who would want to play with EU, and having to create a character and go through that whole thing over again when your whole montage of the game is one character does everything, it just feels bad, right? I mean, I get like DC, like they've already said that they can do it. Like they've already been very open about the fact that they can do it, and that they're just kind of in a reservation state of whether they want to push it through or not. But I think at least EU and Oceanic need to be able to come to NA or or go to EU or Oceanic. I think those are the big ones that I think that would benefit from opening up cross region DC travel.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Oceania players already come to NA, anyways.
Right.
That's another thing.
Even just make it NA and EU.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot. I think cloud servers can help with a lot that we didn't mention earlier. Is people in places that don't have a data center. Like I know there's a lot of South American players who are like really excited for cloud servers because they're not supported at all.
Right, because they don't have anything in their area. But if they were to pick up a cloud service in that area, then they would be able to start playing and get better ping and not have to feel like they're being shafted. Mm-hmm. I know that's kind of like the late push with the Oceanic was like, but I have the Australian players were either EU or NA, a lot of them NA, and then it was, oh, well, all of my friends, I've made all these friends here that if I choose to go to Oceanic now, I'm going to be out, right? I have to leave them behind. And so like I have a lot of friends who saw the Australian servers and were just like, nah, not for me. Like just not for me. But yeah.
Hey, don't worry, we'll get Xbox players soon.
Oh man, my hot take on Xbox players. All right, I think we talked about this a little bit last week. I think that those who wanted to play Final Fantasy, who truly wanted to play Final Fantasy 14, have already gotten the game in some fashion or form. We're 10 years in, and like, and I just think it was like, I think it's I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think it's a little too late to have them come this late into the game, right? I think it's just a lot for them to come into. It's that whole like 4 expansions thing. Yeah, there's a free trial. They could play through the free trial, but I think anybody who truly wanted to play the game, either figured out to play it on PC or when the console generation flipped from Xbox One to Xbox, whatever the new Xbox is, that they flipped over to PlayStation and got it on PlayStation and ran with it.
Well, I don't know. I like some people might not be in the situation to be able to do so, because I remember there was somebody who came into my chat, like I think it was back during as far back as Coils, who was like, hey, I just saw the announcement, it's coming to Xbox, really excited for that because I like all the other ones. Finally I get a chance to play that. So I think there's definitely going to be a market for it. I don't expect it to be very big of a market.
Right. That's what I mean. I just don't think it's
of like what you mean.
Yeah, they're saying.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think also Xbox tends to be like have its own sort of
right
Xbox community of people.
Yeah, Blackmore. I don't see the sub being on Game Pass, but you still have to buy the base game.
I don't even see the base game being on Xbox. I think you would lose a huge community of people if the game was free on Xbox Game Pass. I think that would be a huge slap in the face to Sony and what Sony has done for Square in the last X number of years. I just don't think it's a good position to put themselves in.
I can see that. Yeah.
I think the joke I made when I heard Xbox was being announced was
fantasy tokens.
No, no. They've done so much to try to get rid of the RMT. I do not want to bring RMT into this game. Thank you. No. Big no. I think that the big thing that I think the joke that I made was like, oh, Xbox players, now I get to hear everybody talk about how they want to do my mom. Because again, that whole like Xbox is very sports and FPS based, where it's like, caption moments of being killed and being like, oh, look at your mom.
Yeah, no, it'd be an interesting thing if they did do that, because I remember with like there was a while before Bungie got bought by Sony where they had on Game Pass like all the expansions for Destiny 2 were through Game Pass for an extended period of time, and then that deal with Sony went through, so it was like, oh yeah, all those expansions are gone now, so people who played exclusively through Xbox were kind of getting shafted by that deal, like, oh, I've put so much time into, like, I've had basically a subscription to Xbox and Destiny, and now I just can't have that anymore. I have to like buy every single piece of content for the game instead now.
Alex, I don't ever see that happening for two reasons. One, I think that Sony would make a play on Square. Yeah. So the comment was the meme on Microsoft trying to buy Square Enix. I don't think they have the capital to buy Square Enix. I think Square Enix is strong enough that they would command a ridiculous price to take over. I don't think that Sony would sit there and lying there and let that happen. I think that there would be a better chance of Sony buying Square before Microsoft buys Square. I think Microsoft is going to find they're going to spend a lot of money to try to clean up the Activision Blizzard thing that they just picked up. A lot more than they I think originally expected.
I don't know though, like with how big of a flop Starfield was, and then also the mess of Activision, the current state of Activision Blizzard, like I could FF16 sales were not great. They were good but not great. So I think maybe some of that exclusivity with Sony might be kind of riding on FF7 Rebirth a little bit, maybe.
Well, I think
just because
they did say that I was gonna say 16 is coming to PC. I don't know if it's coming to Xbox, but I know it's coming to PC.
Yeah, it's only PC. Yeah. But still, like the sales were with just like people aren't just buying PS5s just to play 16 like they thought they were going to be. So I think that might be, depending on, let's say, how 7 Rebirth comes and sells and stuff, we might see a possibility of Xbox trying to snatch up Square too. But I think because they're both Japanese companies, I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's a little bit of, not to mention history.
Right, they have history together. They've gone through the moments of scratching each other's backs and helping each other. I think. While I can appreciate bringing new players into the Final Fantasy universe, I did find that the timing was a little odd, given that it was like the same month that the FCC court case had kind of been finalized, that they were announcing that 14 was coming to Xbox, and I was like, given what Sony has done for you, I feel like you should have given this a little bit more time and maybe announced it at EU FanFest and not at NA FanFest.
Phil Spencer is going to be like the next Savage Tier raid boss.
That's right. He looked, I have to tell you, he looked so excited to be on that stage with Yoshi P to talk about. So super excited, guys.
We're making jokes that he looked like Donald Trump the way he was talking on my stream. I'm so excited to be here, guys. The most excited I've ever been.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this for years. It's been years in the making. I swear we've been talking behind the curtain there. It's been years. We've wanted them. They wanted us. It's been a mutual of wanting each other.
Let me tell you, I'm the best deal maker. I've made the greatest deal with Square.
Square's also been known to nix on some projects that people were very excited about. I know there was a mobile version of 11 that was supposed to come out that got nixed.
Versus 13.
Yeah, Versus 13 is a hot button subject. I mean, there's stuff on the other side too. Like Blizzard got rid of Ghost, which I thought was a huge loss in my opinion. I was so excited.
Ghost?
Yeah, it was you play the role of Kerrigan in like a first person shooter style, like walking through like levels as like Kerrigan, being able to like stealth your way through with like going invisible, and it was a project that was a long time ago, and then they just
20 years to that remake.
Yeah.
Classic mode. I would be down for a classic server on 14.
Doing like a 1.0.
No. 2.0. I'm good.
Wow.
I don't need 1.0. I'm good.
I want it for the story.
good.
I mean,
I got YouTube for that. I don't need to freaking stand to cast as a freaking melee.
Okay.
a
How
range melee.
Well, like from what I remember, like because of the way the movement was, there was a whole fight where you just you ran on top of like this like hill, and you just like stood there, and then when a mechanic went off, you'd ran down the hill, and then you ran back up the hill, and that was like, the whole fight.
I don't know. The story
what
that
about
I have
the possibility?
The story I have from 1.0 is when they were shutting down the servers and everybody. I don't know if anybody else played 1.0 or knows about this, but they lined up there, and they make reference of this in the game. The Gubu wall at Iwulda. I had a friend who was part of that wall. When they were shutting down the servers, because they basically, like, it wasn't just like a flick the switch, shut down the servers. They went in and they killed every player. They had they had enemies go in and try to kill every player, and so they were actually fighting.
Enemies could actually enter into towns as well. Like there wasn't like
they were just spawning them in there. Yeah.
You couldn't outrun enemies in the sanctuaries, and the guards fight it off or whatever.
Yep.
No, they kept going.
Okay, what about hardcore servers? Just saying. Imagine you get through, like, you're in Shadowbringers or Stormblood, and then you die to, like, you fuck up a duty. Go back to AR. Go back to AR.
Yeah, start over again. No death servers. That would be interesting.
Do hardcore and then go do a savage with a door boss.
Think about what kind of good content that would be. Like, from the streaming side of things. Like, so you're telling me, like, these guys are crazy enough to go risk their characters doing a savage raid? Oh my god!
I do T13 hardcore. Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
make a new character once a week.
I'd like to see more crossovers with oddball things. So they had, like, the Yokai Watch event. I think it'd be cool to do more stuff like that, where they brought like other, like, just things that had nothing to do with Final Fantasy, and did, like, a crossover event with them.
I mean, we got
7.
Okay, we get it. You want 7? I got it.
It's a Square title, and we already have a lot of gear that's in the same, like, fashion vein, but, like, the world ends with you. Like, pull that in.
Cool.
A lot of the newer fashion is
so many zippers, not belts.
No more zippers.
No belts, just zippers.
Lulu dress when belts.
Only belts.
See, I think World Ends With You would be a little bit more of a, like, possibility than, like, Kingdom Hearts, because I think they have, like, the exclusive rights to do that. Although a Kingdom Hearts one would be really cool. I already have made comparisons to, like, the Sin Eaters to Nobodies. They look very Nobody-esque.
I remember that. That was an interesting.
But the Void Scents are heartless. I mean, that actually makes sense.
No, not heartless. Nobody's. Oh no, I guess the
Void Scent. The Void Scent would be heartless.
Yeah. Good one. That would be.
And
good.
Alex, on, like, the raid series being a crossover from a different franchise, I mean, Nier is still Business Unit 3, and I mean, I like Nier, so I need to go back to the Nier raids and get all the glam.
The what raids?
The
what raids?
No raids to speak of.
Wait, so did CBU3 do Nier? They made Nier?
Yeah, they did Nier Automata.
Oh, I didn't know they did that one too.
Yeah, Business Unit 3 did Nier Automata. Yeah, it was
cool.
The producer or director was Soren, I think is his name.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yeah, I keep wanting to say Sokon, but that's the music director.
Yeah,
don't say that one. That's the wrong one.
Yeah.
Smash Bros.
Anybody else have anybody? No,
Smash
Bros.
Bros.
Get out of here. Get out of here with your Smash Bros. It's never gonna happen. Sony already tried to do their battle royale and it flopped.
Everyone tried to do their Smash clone.
Sora is
awful.
in Smash. We just gotta get Ishtola in there.
Big angry.
Okay.
Big angry about that.
Thancred, dude, Daddy Thancred. He's got his like gunbreaker forms, different stances.
You're on
You
the
could do
Daddy
like his
Thancred.
ninja.
You're on the Daddy
You could do
Thancred
his-
arc now.
Well, if you want to do that, then just make it Meteor, and then he can just swap classes. You got different skins. You got Dragoon Meteor. You got Monk Meteor.
I think there's a lot of different crossover things that you can do with like such a long form thing like 14. They already have done Monster Hunter. They've already done Nier. They've done other Final Fantasy games. I mean, who knows? It's going to be like Fortnite. We're going to see Master Chief and Thanos fighting. Yeah. And then, no, I mean,
Resident Evil.
That would be a good.
I would be down for a Resident Evil crossover. Man,
you're asking Kojima to not Kojima. What is it?
Kojima's not Capcom right now.
Capcom and Square to work together. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I can see it. They might work together. They could.
Imagine having crafting ammo like back in what LK, or having to farm materia to cast magic. Ugh, like couldn't cast magic unless you had it bound to your weapon for a certain number of times.
Let's spice up PvP in 14 and add a battle royale mode. That's what everyone's wanting. Obviously,
keep Fortnite out of Final Fantasy. Hashtag
exactly, yes.
Fortnite out.
Battle Royale, you have to go and find materia to slot it into your armor.
On the subject of the
I was just kidding, but you're giving them ammo.
Blue Mage Battle Royale mode. That would actually be pretty cool.
You find spells.
Yeah.
You can swap them.
Yep. Okay, so on the subject of Fall Guys, do you guys think that when they take, because they've said that the Fall Guys will be like a revolving door event, right? They're gonna take it off for a couple months and then bring it back. Do you think that the months that they take it off, they're gonna be developing new stages, or do you think they're just gonna turn it back on with the stages that we have?
New stage, give everybody rescue as a duty action.
Oh, that would be better than grab. That would be better than grab, and just make it like some like ridiculous cooldown time, and that would be fun. That would be fun.
Can I give a hot take here? I don't care for the Fall Guys event.
That's fine. That's fine.
It's bad. I think it's like it's a neat idea, but like especially with the rampant cheating.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. That was one of our discussions last week about the people who were like glitching up and then floating around all the stuff and then landing on the crown.
Imagine streamers doing that too. Oh my gosh. I can think of a couple who might have gotten that title very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Almost sus quickly.
I know some people. I know
Free has it. That are Free actually did his completely legit. He was doing it every day for 6 to 8 hours a day. He was streaming and got it.
Free is like an actual Fall Guys
god. He's a Fall Guys god.
Streamer. Yeah. Free does it legit for sure. Like, cause that's what, like, I remember like when I first heard about Free, like he was
small Square is just a small indie. Square is just a small indie company. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Small indie. Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know. I just think it's kind of whatever. It's fine. I guess it's another crossover game. That's fine. I don't think we're going to see another crossover game for a while though. Like in that way. Like, when was the last like outside Final Fantasy crossover game event?
Yokai Watch.
Well, Yokai Watch was before the Monster Hunter one.
I
don't know if they brought it back. But Yokai Watch was in Heavensward.
Yeah, and then they brought it back for Stormblood.
Yeah, but Monster Hunter was in Stormblood.
Yeah. So either or of those could be considered.
So Monster Hunter. So it's been since Stormblood.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll see you guys in like 4 years.
I mean, yeah. There's another crossover, but we can't talk about it.
Yeah, on the titles thing, the one thing I know, I have someone that's pretty frequent in my chat who like one of the main things they do in the game, they're just an achievement hunter. They want to get all the achievements in the game, and they're pissed at the they're pissed at the Fall Guys event because of the way they've locked out it like behind like 100 wins, and then there's like a small thing of like playing enough times. They wish it was like swapped.
Right.
Like the harder achievement was just playing it enough.
But anyways, does anybody else have anything new that they would like to have added to the game, other than Final Fantasy VII stuff?
Final Fantasy 10 stuff. Let's switch it up.
10's already in the game.
Give me a Sin raid. No, get out of here with that stuff. It's not in the game enough.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna touch. We're not gonna touch on what 10 has in the game because reasons. But I want more. I'm mad about the 10 they added in.
Okay, get this right. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children content. Okay.
You got the motorcycle. What do you want?
Okay. Remake and Rebirth. FF7 content, please. No.
A Unalesca raid. That's not bad.
I think some 16 stuff. Honestly, 16 stuff, like more 16 stuff, especially since they did it. I feel like we could see like that Ifrit fight. Like there's some of those, like, I don't want to talk too much about spoilers of 16 for those who don't have a PS5 to play it, but the Ifrit Garuda fight in 16,
yeah,
that was
I would be cool with doing some like pixel remastered fights that come back, like where they make them into the game. That would be kind of cool, where they bring like I think the problem though is like they want to use that stuff as like trial content, or like when they did I can't even talk about that. We'll have you back again so we could talk about all the spoilers stuff at the end of your EW, and we might have you back before that, but the EW stuff for sure we'll have you back for, because there's a lot of stuff in EW that would have pertained to when they did that in EW. But for those who know, they know. Like they want to be able to reuse that content as new bosses. I mean, there's a few that I could. There's 3 or 4 from EW specifically that I could bring up because it was a big deal. But the hot take that I have from the other hot take that I have from the FanFest that they had talked about, which I'm not a fan. This probably would go under the like I don't want it to come into the game. They talked about creating like an emulation station within the game to be able to play the old Final Fantasies within Final Fantasy 14, and I'm like, why? Like I mean, I guess that there's some like have a pixel remastered option in the toolbox that you could play through, but I'm like, they had talked about then paying for the game again through the MOG station, so you'd own it in like how many different formats. Like every Final Fantasy, here, hot tip for you guys, every Final Fantasy game from 1 to 9 is available on mobile devices. You can play them on tablets, you can play them on consoles, you can play them everywhere.
That's how I played 3.
Is no reason to have them in Final Fantasy 14. You can play 10-2 on Switch. 10 and 10-2 on Switch. There's no reason for them to be anywhere else. Like, they've remastered these games enough that it's just like it doesn't matter. Like, you don't need them inside Final Fantasy 14 to play. It's just not. This is gonna go down as I don't want it.
We need to go full.
I agree.
Full Bethesda route, and we got to put all the Final Fantasies on Alexa.
On Alexa, no.
You guys remember that when they put Skyrim on it?
No, that's crazy.
They had a whole key. It was Keegan Michael Key, I think is who it was.
Yeah,
did a commercial for it, and he was like talking to it, and he's just like, I eat the cheese. I eat all the cheese.
Yeah. How many cheese wheels can I buy? Really? Okay. I eat all the cheese.
I think the coolest thing from back in my day, I'm gonna date myself because it's just the way this is gonna be.
I played one.
Y'all remember the old iPods with the spin wheel?
Oh yeah.
Did any of your friends ever jailbreak those and put Doom on them?
Oh yeah. No, I didn't have Doom. I actually had
I had Doom in my Mindcaster.
Or Duke Nukem, one of the two.
It was Duke Nukem. I'm more of a my first like boomer shooter was totally Duke Nukem.
Yeah.
Because someone said, yeah, there's aliens who are trying to abduct strippers. And I was like, I need to play this shit. What?
The remake was so bad. The one they did for PS3 or whatever was so bad. The number of memes that they put in, like they had like the Master Chief armor up on the thing, and he was like, "I don't need no stinking armor," and he just went off and was like,
"Power armor is for pussies."
Power armor is for pussies. Yeah, it was great.
I'm here to eat ass and chew bubblegum.
All out of bubblegum. Anyways, all right. New PvP game modes, like a tactic style. Yeah, that would be cool. I would actually be okay with like, what's the other game series that Square owns the rights to? Not tactics. It's the more modern one where you're like, it's almost like you can run. You have a distance that you can run, and then you do an action afterwards. But it's in like that Final Fantasy style. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Somebody in chat's gonna get it. They're gonna shout it out. But it's like yeah, it's like that. It'd be like a tactic style where you can move a specific amount, almost like a Boulder Gate style movement.
Oh, okay.
But it would be like different zones that you could just like, you could get into a battle with somebody and then do movement and then turns, and then that'd be cool. Like a turn-based like PvP style. That would be kind of interesting.
Here's something that I think could work, but I think it could work in not just 14, but like in a lot of games, is the possibility of like a MOBA style PvP game mode, like where you have everyone starts with nothing, maybe like you select kind of the role you want. Yeah, you have minions, you slowly upgrade gear that gives you new abilities in your rotation, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I think I thought Rival Wings was like kind of MOBA style, yeah.
It is, yeah. But like lean heavier into it, you know.
Well, isn't the minion mini game in the Gold Saucer, isn't that like essentially just League but with minions?
Yeah, a lot less active League. Yeah. Just merge them. Boom.
Merge them all. Yeah, I think that would be kind of cool, doing like a MOBA style where it was like you could is that Rival Wings? There is Rival. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check out Rival Wings. I haven't actually done a lot of Rival Wings.
I haven't done like any PvP.
One of them is like, isn't one of them a push the payload one, like Overwatch style?
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's CC, I think.
There's like conflict. Okay,
yeah. Conflict.
Yeah, and then there's the free for all, which is Frontlines, and then I guess Rival Wings is like MOBA-ish.
Yeah. But yeah, that would be yeah, I don't know. I think I've touched on a lot of the stuff that I think we had a really good discussion today.
I think last thing, I think someone touched on this last time, but as an addition to the game, adding a simulation mode, so you can go into fights with no damage.
Yeah, do fights with no damage and be able to see mechanics, so you could get used to mechanics before you have to do them with actual. I think that would be something. So hot take. I want this feature, but I want it after the first couple weeks of Savage rating. Like I want it to be like a tiered thing. Let the world first do their thing, and they do their world first thing. Because I think this eliminates world first thing. Because then
it gives you even more prestige that way too. Then you guys we world firsted and we world firsted before.
Yeah.
The simulation was released. It gives even more prestige to it.
Maybe release the simulation. I don't know, like in the half patch. So like give it a couple months of people just being able to do it without it, and then
or when the 24 men comes out.
Or when the 24 man comes out, that'd be a perfect time for it as well.
Yeah.
Here's another thing I just kind of like thought of that pertains to just the moving forward, looking to Dawn Trail, is I just realized like, so now they have the combat director of the Devil May Cry series who worked on 16 for its combat system.
Correct.
And I wonder if they're keeping him around to maybe do a little bit of work with like maybe the new classes, because Viper looks not only awesome but also really involved and flashy, and like kind of gave me some 16 vibes in the combat department. So I wonder if maybe we're going to start seeing more
Noble,
Like,
there's a thing
more combat
that
like that.
is
There's a thing that's against terms of service.
Don't
that you
ask,
can
don't tell.
run. Don't ask, don't tell. But you have to be a PC player. So if you're a console player, then forget about it.
Yeah. You can have a friend that you, if you're friends with someone has a PC, then they can record your logs and then post them. And there's a website called FF Logs that like all the higher end raiders and use to like be able to tell how they're doing and stuff like that.
Just to be clear, we are in no way advising people to run ACT or like you do that at your own risk, because it is against terms of service.
Especially don't stream it, don't post about it like that. You there have been actively you've seen raiders who have ACT on their screen while they're streaming actively get pulled out of a raid and dumped into DM jail
instead of snoozing it. That's still snoozed anyway.
I didn't.
But we can kind of chit chat for the next couple of minutes while this ad's pushing through. We won't close here. We'll
Fork doesn't have something like Riki. Yeah, okay.
So Wraith, what's your current opinion of the? I know you're a huge fan of the music. That's been a big piece for you.
Yes.
I know that you're a pretty good fan of the new characters. I know you have opinions on what particular characters are what.
Yeah, well, I think they really set it up pretty hardcore in like the finale of Stormblood. Like, hey, we're going to introduce this really crazy character, and also there's this other unknown character that is totally not tied to anything else that we just introduced. I mean, if you're talking about Solace, like, come on, it's pretty obvious like where that thread is leading, especially when they're just like, oh yeah, we just found out that the there's certain tiers to the Asians, and at the very top is their leader, Emmett whatever, and also here's the creator, founder, and old emperor of the Garlean Empire. Oh no, who could they be? Right. I wonder. Yeah. So to me, it's like that was a pretty obvious thing. Like the MSQ gives pretty good hints, and I think I'm okay at picking them up at that point. But I feel like that was like a slap on the back of the head moment. Like, hey, come on, look at this, huh?
Yeah. You also
I'm not telling you, but
about,
I'm telling you
about sad Sephiroth and the curiosity of Counter the Curiosity.
Oh,
good old lore master.
Yeah, he's never. I don't think that dude's ever gonna touch a woman in his life. Yeah. at least the calamity's coming for him, right? At least he's gonna see something cool.
That's right.
No, I like the characters so far in Shadowbringers. I think there's a certain like. Why am I here? Kind of like a pause that's really weirdly abrupt. Like Stormblood is really the like this like crescendo of, okay, here's the set pieces of A Realm Reborn, setting the stage, putting all the pieces on the board. Heaven's Word is like kind of fleshing out the world, making it more grounded and gritty, and having these like interpersonal conflicts that really build and strengthen the core characters that we know from Realm Reborn. And then here's Stormblood, where it's all coming together. Everything's like swelling, and you get to that final fight at the very end on the battlefield with Xenos, and it's like, okay, now we're gonna go to another dimension, guys. See ya. Well, this huge crazy conflict. Yeah. Hold on, we gotta deal with something in another dimension or whatever, the reflection. Yeah. So it's like it's a little bit of like a but I wasn't
these characters too.
Yep.
I wasn't done there. Let's go back there. Hold on.
Yeah, I think
but
that's,
at the same time,
I think it's good. I think that's good stuff. Good breath of fresh air. Gives you a second.
Yeah. It's a good time to reflect on that sort of stuff, and especially moving forward, I think it's going to be interesting where they go with it, because I think there's a lot of mystery. There wasn't a whole lot of mystery in Stormblood, but there's a lot of like mysteries to be uncovered and like more context to be filled out with Shadowbringers that I think, at least from like a streaming perspective, I'm excited to like really like get into and react to it.
There was a lot of like what I thought was interesting was there was the and Noble, I'm actually going to touch on your recount style system here in a second. I did see that and I want to make sure that I touch on it here in a second, but
Noble said I liked Brita.
Yeah.
Fuck.
What was your take on the, I'm going to call it the Umbrella Academy style time travel-esque type deal where like people have been in the area for a little bit longer? Like what's your feel on
yeah. It's okay. We'll see how
I wouldn't consider it to be time travel, right? Because it's kind of like some of them sort of time travel. I mean, it is, but it isn't, right?
Yeah, like it is. It's not time travel in the way that I think like that I would criticize, because usually my big thing with time travel is like the going back part of it. Like you could say in 15 there's time travel when Noctis goes into the crystal and then comes out and it's like 20 years later and he's like, oh shit, like there's so much that I've missed. Like that, like being thrown forward time travel, I'm cool with that. But like when it starts to like, yeah, we can go back and undo mistakes from our past, it's like that undercuts like the big moments, or has the potential to undercut big moments. With this, I think it's done well enough. If not, it rides that line of being potentially kind of cheap, where it's like, yeah, we wanted to like really speed up some progression with characters, so we just kind of threw them forward really fast. And then, but on the other hand, like if they go somewhere interesting with it, I don't think it really matters too much, because I at least like where the characters are at the current state. I finally
caught up to the reference. It took me a minute.
Titus and Sir Orin would like to have a word with you on that. The time travel. Noble, to touch.
I mean, like Final Fantasy X spoilers. It's a 20-year-old game though. Wasn't time travel.
Wasn't time travel. But Noble, to touch on your subject, your piece of like being able to figure out a way, there is, and I actually remembered this during that quick ad break, there is a way that you can check your DPS. What you do is you go hit a sea stone sky dummy, and there'll be it'll be on a timer. It's generally like 3 minutes to kill whatever the boss is. When you finish killing that boss, at whatever time you have left on the ticker, you can go to an online website and say, I'm this class, I beat up this Skystone dummy, and I had this much time left, and it'll give you a rough estimation as to what your DPS is. It is not add-on based. It does not connect to the game in any way, shape, or form. It is its own separate website. Therefore, my understanding is that it does not violate terms of service, because it does not manipulate the game in any way.
Manipulating the game's bad. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. So there are ways to do it on console. I've done it that way before, where I've just checked my numbers based upon what's left. But yeah, if you search for like Skystone dummy calculator, it should pop up. It's like a black website, and you drop down to whichever dummy you kill, and it'll ask you for the info.
Don't know where you're at. I will say, if you've done any current Savage, more than likely go into FF logs and type in your character name, and someone you cleared with, especially you cleared in Party Finder, probably posted logs.
The Skystone dummies are good for checking your rotation before you go into the content, right? If you're hitting your mechanics aside, are you hitting your buttons correctly? Are you doing the maximum amount of damage you possibly can on your rotation? I find the Skystone dummies to be a good justification set for like, am I doing enough damage to get through this boss? That's what I use them for. But anyways, all right, so we are going to wrap up for tonight. Wraith, thank you so much for coming tonight. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it was great. I had a great time. Thank you,
we're
guys.
Definitely going to have you again and get a post EW reaction when you're done, and be able to get all the juicy gossip of all the things that we couldn't talk about tonight, and be able to go through that. Wraith, if people wanted to find you in the worldwide world of web, where would they find you? Twitch.tv/Wraithofthnine or at Wraithofthnine on YouTube. I don't really do like
Twitter or anything like that. But yeah, we stream Monday, pretty much Monday through Friday, except for Tuesdays, and we're usually on very early in the morning, 9 a.m. EST, so Eastern Standard Time.
Nice.
I know a lot of the people are EU folks. We love you, EU folks, but it's early. We get up nice and early for the MSQ for our daily dose of despair.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight and watching us. And we've been watching the numbers kind of fluctuate, so that's been kind of fun to see. Everything kind of roll up and roll down. I thank everybody for their input tonight. I think it made the podcast run really well tonight, getting watch viewer inputs. If you guys like this kind of stuff, guys, throw us follows. Throw Wraith a follow, please. Throw Gibbles, throw myself a follow. We do this every Monday. We're gonna start pulling some topics from you guys to see if we want to talk about some more stuff. But thank you guys for coming tonight. Next week will be, we haven't decided what we're talking about next week, so I can't really talk about what's going on next week. We're going to work on that this week. We do have some guests that are really excited to come on. I don't know if we haven't really mentioned it a little bit, but I've talked to Free about coming on for a couple lore episodes.
That would be
fun. Yeah, we could do fancy tented belts. I've talked to Biggie Sweats about coming on to do key differences between stuff like this and Guild Wars and WoW. We do have a planned episode for the first episode of the year for 2024, which is our we're gonna have Blinded Chaos on as well as Conjured Cow on to discuss accessibility in games, so not just Final Fantasy but in general, where games, what examples of games doing really well with accessibility. For those of you who don't know, Blinded Chaos is from Australia, but she's a blind streamer, so she's legally blind, but she's been able to do Savage content, which is super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So and then
Conjured Cow is my spouse, and
Gibbles' the spouse. Conjured
rare
Cow is
colorblind and really colorblind.
Yep.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You said
you did Leviathan in D2, in the third boss, I think, where you do the circle around and the whole screen is red while you're jumping through the hoops. Cow did that, but and they couldn't see shit. We had to tell them how high to jump while they were doing it. We had to do call out.
My god.
Yeah.
The gauntlet while colorblind and Oh my god! I couldn't imagine that. That's insane. That's so cool. Oh my god.
But yeah, so we got a couple of good episodes in the works right now. We're gonna have some filler episodes between now and those episodes. But I think again, Ray, thank you so much for coming tonight. This was super fun.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was super fun.
For sure, we'll definitely do this again. Again, a huge shout out to Conjured Cow, Gibbles' a spouse, for the overlay that you guys saw. So everything that you saw in the overlay, we will get the first episode pushed up onto the podcast services. So those will be on your Spotify and YouTube podcasts and Apple podcast services when we can push them up. And then as well, Gibbles is doing some cutouts for the TikTok page so that we can start maybe pushing lives to TikTok. That would be cool too. Those are all at Beards of Light. So if you guys are on those platforms, please shoot us follows. The closer we get to 1,000 on TikTok is the faster we can start doing our episodes live on TikTok. So pass this along to friends if you think that they would like it. We'll be doing cuts of it so that it's a little bit cleaner to look at in the next few days. So thank you guys for coming tonight, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next time.
Hi everybody, good to see you.
Good to see you guys.